think, okay, we did it. We're here. Hold on. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Punkette. Hi, Shalmia. Hi, Pink. Hi, Replay. Hey, Bryn. Bryn said this series really messed with him. Hi, T. Adams. Hi, darling. Happy birthday, Cece McGee, you guys. Everybody in the chat. It's Cece McGee's birthday. We have to sing happy birthday to her.
Yeah, we do.
Are we going to do it now?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to you. We just harmed. Did you like that? Happy birthday,
dear Cece McGee. Happy birthday to you. Light your candle, bitch.
I wasn't going to sing, but happy birthday. I love you.
I know. You two both muted and left me and Heather doing that on our own. That's okay. I forgive you. Happy birthday, Cece McGee. It was good, right?
It was pretty good.
And, I got to upload the photos that she sent. So, how many people in the chat have watched the Dahmer series? I don't know if that was Heather or that was me, Pink. I'm going to take the credit for it, though. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to take that credit. Okay. You didn't watch the show, Punkette?
Okay. I liked it. Thanks for coming, guys. Bye.
Bye. You did, Katie, Penny, Michelle. All right. Before we even get into it, is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? I want to hear people's opinions before we even discuss it. Were you pleased or were you disappointed?
I say 4 out of 5 stars.
4 out of 5? Is it 4 out of 5 because it's Evan Peters?
I didn't even know who he was before that. So now
what? American Horror Story.
I don't watch that.
You need to.
So I didn't even know who he was, but
oh my God, it's Evan Peters.
Yeah.
Where did my Cece messages go? Cece, where did my messages with you go? Oh, there you are. Okay. You know a lot of Dahmer. That works. You watched it all. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Awesome.
I said in a chat, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get an award nom for this role. Like, truly. I mean, him and actually the dude, I can't think of his name, that played Lionel. Like, their voices and tone, like their cadence of the way they speak, everything was like spot on.
Yeah, when you watch like the family when they speak at the trial, I mean, it's exact. Like they did exactly even.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that see, that's like I was really conflicted because I'm not really a true crime person. I'm really not. Like, there's a lot of things I freaking learned from this show. But I was begging Melissa to discuss it because it just wow. I was just wowed. And it's weird because I was in high school when he got in 92. I was a sophomore. So you know, I just didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff. I mean, I'd heard about it and whatever, but yeah.
Well, I like to teeter with the thought, is this nature versus nurture? Was he born this way, or do you think he was made this way as part of his environment? Because anybody who watched this series, not to jump towards the end of the series, but we had that bombshell from his dad who admitted he himself struggled with these types of thoughts. And I feel like that's probably why his dad, obviously we have the unconditional love of a father to his son. So there's that. So there's that.
So
but
there's
also
that.
So if he probably was struggling internally with the guilt of feeling like it was himself that passed this on, you know? And so he may have internalized that and then felt guilty. Therefore, that's why he stuck around and supported him no matter what.
Right. And I think that was, I'm sorry, Amber. Go ahead.
You go ahead. No, you go
ahead.
Well,
I think that was just a really like kind of prolific part of the whole thing is at one point, you know, it was like Lionel was looking for anyone to blame, any reason that, you know, what could have possibly made his son this way. And it was like, kind of like it came full circle and he's like, it's me. But I think so many, just there were so many missed opportunities, like maybe getting him help when he was younger and, you know, not being social and stuff like that. I mean, just something simple like that could have possibly made a big difference.
So you think that that actually could have possibly played a role, as if he had gotten help earlier on, that he may never went on a killing spree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. And that's what I was going to say is I think his dad being that way too made him ignore a lot of red flags early on.
Yep.
To where he could have gotten help.
I was kind of bummed to find out that so many scenes never actually happened. Well, all right. What were you saying? There was the neighbor wasn't actually a neighbor. Weren't you saying that, Jack?
No, she was across the hall. Yeah, she was still a neighbor, but across the hall.
And I'm sure she could still smell death.
His actual neighbor stuck up for him.
Bye, Holly. I got to mute for a second while I upload these photos. You guys just talk.
We love
the
you.
Actual neighbor is the one that I sent you that stuff from that actually ate a sandwich from him and stuff. Was the actual neighbor. So it's mixed between the neighbor from across the hall, and then I watched an interview with his actual next door neighbor who did eat a sandwich, but she is not the one who called the police.
So it wasn't.
I think they kind of mixed the two. You know?
Yeah.
But she did actually eat a sandwich from him and talked about how nice he was and stuff. So it was, she didn't see red flags or think there was anything going on wrong, but she did eat a sandwich from him, which is freaky. But can you imagine eating a sandwich from him and thinking this guy's your friend and then finding that out later? Like that's
so scary. Was the other person that ate a sandwich?
Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Pink.
Hey, Pink.
Hello.
How's it going?
Go ahead.
I don't know what I was going to. Oh,
you were saying,
the sandwiches.
So Glenda Cleveland is not the one who ate the sandwich, right?
And no, she wasn't. And actually, you guys were wrong. And I hate to be like, hey, the Nazi.
No.
I don't know if that's PC or not, but like,
no,
the late, she actually lived in the apartment building across the street, not across the hall.
Yeah, right. She didn't even live there.
But
really?
Yeah, the one that ate the sandwich.
No, the one that ate the sandwich did live in the building, but Glenda, she actually lived in the.
Oop, you cut out. Hello?
Am I back?
Now you're good.
What'd you hear last?
That Glenda, and you were gonna say that she lives not there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The lady in the apartment that was in the same complex, she ate the sandwich. But yes, Glenda, the one that made the multiple police calls, she actually lived in apartments across the street.
Interest. So how was she able to, like, what made her make the phone calls?
Because she was outside on her, like, okay. I don't know how to say this without being like sounding, I'm sure somebody's going to get offended, but like in ghettos and stuff, a lot of people,
yeah. A lot of people sit outside.
Yeah. I mean, not even just in ghettos, but like it's in like the inner cities and things, like people sit on their stoops, they're outside. So she witnessed a lot of Jeffrey's
fuckery. Oop, you keep cutting out, Pink.
Oh my God. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. I'll have to switch to the laptop because my phone, it'll like do the blackout. You know what I mean? Like your phone screen like goes black.
Yeah.
And then but someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Glinda, and I cannot remember her name, but the lady that would like eat the sandwich and a couple of different people. Yes. Thank you. Were friends. So not only was she hearing Pam's, which is something I didn't like about the series, because they really should have gave Pam a little bit of credit. Her stories about hearing the
knife.
Yeah, what the fuck are they called? Like a turkey carver knife. That's not what it is, but
yeah, a carving knife. Well, it's an electric carving knife. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And Glinda would go visit and stuff, so she was like she knew what was going on. And well, I don't even want to say knew what was going on, but she knew the smells. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm gonna mute for a second because I have to roll up. Hold on.
Okay.
And shout out to Cece McGee. All the photos I'm showing, Cece took herself, so it just gives it such a better element.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, her name was Gloria Cleveland. It wasn't even Glinda.
So they really did mix the stories a lot between the two women.
Wow. And that's something else I don't know if like people get, but like, so I kind of was in the medical field, and like bone, like that shit, even bone has a distinct smell to it.
Okay, put it this way. Have you guys ever gone to the dental office and either had a cavity filled or a root canal? Do you know what that smell of burning
I work in a dental office all day, every day.
Yep. And so that smell of that burning bone, it has a very, very distinct smell. So, and that's a tooth and a very little amount of the inside of a tooth. Can you imagine what it'd be on a mass level with the body?
All right, girls, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm going to hang up and then come back on my laptop. So
I'll redrop the link.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Even though that he had a lot of their bodies in that bin with the acid or whatever, there had to still be some decaying smell as well. There had to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder how Jeff was able to tolerate the smell. I mean, maybe that was like part of his, maybe he liked it in some weird way.
He was fascinated. Oh, hey, I didn't put this photo up. How'd that photo get up? Oh, well, that's the grandma's house. I guess whatever. I'll leave the photo up. I think he was okay. So the way Jeffrey explained it is he was not turned on so much by the killing act itself. That was his least favorite part. Versus, I think he wanted. When he was younger, I remember, what was it? They were like eating dinner and he had asked his dad.
Hold on, that's me. Hold on.
When he was younger, I hate the sound of my own voice.
Okay, it's done. Go ahead.
Amber popped off. And anybody is welcome to click the link, by the way. I forgot what they were doing, but he had asked his dad what would happen if you poured bleach in. I forgot what kind of animal it was. And his dad was like, oh my God, my kid is going to be like a scientist. Like he didn't even wrap his brain around the fact that like, no, he had this morbid interest as far as internally, like the body itself. And He, like, the fact that he was willing to go to such lengths to like pour acid, he was trying to make a zombie, a living, eating, zombie who wouldn't be able to run away. But that's terrifying.
Yeah. And very sad. I mean, that's like, where the whole not wanting to be alone, like that part has me feeling empathy for him, in some way. Like, and that's why I wonder if he had friendships and stuff when he was younger, like maybe that need to feel like to want to have people not leave him was so, and then with the parents. So not only was it the kids, but then, the mom left and then the dad left. And so it's like he had real fucking abandonment issues, like for real.
I feel like maybe that might be why he turned to cannibalism as well, is to try and make it to where they were like permanently with him.
Yeah.
Okay, what are these pictures? What'd she get?
Okay. So Cece went to the actual area, and these are where the apartment it was. I guess they pulled it down, and there was talk. I remember the last time we spoke about this, that they built a park there, but they never, like, I think this one lady who said it, she was wrong. They were going to build a park there, but they never did. So now it's just like that empty lot.
I think she wanted a memorial done.
Yeah.
But
she did.
They didn't do it. Wow, so she really went here. So that empty area, like the lot that we see, not the building, was where Oxford Apartments were.
Yes. Cece, you could come up to explain your pictures if you want. Since she has that.
Yeah, I would love that. What was the like one of the very first ones you showed was a house? What was
this? Is the grandma's house, and that's where a lot of the killings were done too, which it's like such a nice little house. That's right? Who would have thought?
Awesome to see, because I've never seen really the grandma's house like that. Like
it almost looks like my house a little bit. Like,
it's a nice little house. You would never.
Can you imagine living there now? That would be freaky to live there now.
Yeah, but there's people that like that shit,
That plot of land is cursed. It sucks that Boston isn't here, because I actually had a question for her.
She's coming on. She'll be here.
Okay. Can I ask something that you guys were talking about before I got on panel?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Okay. So you guys were talking about like what could have happened in Dahmer's past to bring forth, I guess, the monster that he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
like that nature versus nurture.
Okay, so like everybody knows that, what is it? Like 80% of the human brain is not used, and even scientists don't really understand what it's capable of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there literally was some type of untapped part of his brain due to like reactions in his brain's chemistry when he was younger, which was something somebody else, I won't name any names. He actually didn't have a great childhood. He didn't. They may have been middle class, like a roof over his head, food, in his stomach, but his mom was fucking crazy. She wouldn't even hold him. The dad said that she was such a germaphobe unless there was no other option, and the dad worked a lot, so he wasn't there a lot. Unless there was no other option, she would change his diaper if he needed it, and hold him for like family pictures, portraits.
Yeah.
So first of all, no, go ahead.
Well, they've done studies on this too. What happens to a human starting from infancy,
Oh
if
my God,
you
no.
do not show them any love, any affection, basically no human touch whatsoever, versus a coddled baby, right? And how that could drastically impact their development.
Right. So we're not even talking just about that. So not only he was neglected, he was.
Yeah.
His dad was gone. His dad is a PhD chemist. Okay?
Right.
He's a scientist.
And
So,
he was working at Iowa State, right?
and he was gone all the time. So that left the mom who didn't want shit to do with Dahmer. Like she just didn't. I don't know if perhaps, you know, it was earlier in time. So maybe she had postpartum depression and nobody, you know what I mean? Like it never got taken care of. On top of all of her medications, that goes back to what I was talking about with the human brain. Like we don't know what that alone, being on all those different types of, what are they called? Like barbiturates or something, would do to a fetus, let alone that being mixed with neglect.
Yeah.
And then as he developed further on, like hit puberty, I mean,
The
he was gay.
roadkill stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
And
that's why the
you guys
dad
have to
blamed the mom, you know, because he knew all that she neglected, and the medication and all that.
She neglected him so bad. Like I couldn't imagine having my baby and then never even like physically touching them, smooching him, hugging him, kissing him, tickling, like none of that.
Yeah.
Like but anyway, and then as he develops into puberty, he was clearly gay, which back in those times, 70s, 80s, even the 90s, that wasn't okay.
Right.
Neither was being a white person with a black person.
Right.
So, oh my God, I have so much. All right, somebody else go ahead for a minute. I'm going to get carried away and like hog everything. Somebody else talk.
Night, baby. Yeah, no, I think you are absolutely right. Like there's so many things, and then you add all these things up, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, and see, that's where I don't have the knowledge, because I feel like I don't know other people, like other serial killers' relationships with their mothers, but I feel didn't.
Well, we have,
Was it
Ted
Stacy?
Bundy, who was adamant that this has nothing to do with how I was raised. This really has everything to do with pornography. And, it goes from a little fantasy in your head, and then you see this pornography that offers all different types of sexual desires and stuff. And then it becomes a fantasy that you need to actually play out. So I think it's individual for each situation.
Which one was it? Guy, is it Gay? Not Gacy. He was the guy that was a bigger guy.
No.
He had glass. Geen.
Ed Gein. Yeah, he was over 6 foot.
He's the one
He
that
fucked his mom's head hole.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Sorry.
Somebody said in chat, they said Caffeinated Slug says, if his dad didn't encourage the dissections, would he have turned out differently? I don't think so at all.
I don't think so. Because you have plenty of young children who go out with their parents. They learn how to fish. They learn how to fillet. You know what I mean? I think that there had to be already something brewing, so to speak, in his mind to look at it or get a different reaction physically, mentally, emotionally than another person would.
Yeah, and I mean, in my high school, my senior year, in my anatomy class, we had to dissect fetal pigs, and I don't know of any of those kids turning out to kill anyone, so.
Well, here's my opinion. We learned that Jeffrey at a very, what was he, like 6 or 4 or 6, I don't remember, pulled the possum out from under the house with his dad, right? He was really, really into the bones and that type of thing. However, in my opinion, whatever wires that had crossed in his brain to make him become the fuck was that? Did anyone hear that?
I think it was like a phone.
Whatever wires that crossed in his brain to make him do, again, there's a lot of people out there who have had bad home lives, family lives, traumas, things like that, and they don't do what Jeffrey did. I feel like whatever happened in his brain, which may have been from like I said before, even like back when he was still in the womb, like a fetus, because how he was, and somebody had mentioned earlier, they were actually eating chicken and he took a bone when he was little and was like, he asked his dad, he was like, what would happen if I put this in bleach? And his dad was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be a chemist. Like, he's going to get into this. But I think whatever had happened was there before for that even to manifest when he was 4 to 6 years old and got that, like, not obsession, but like interest. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so I feel like, and that's what makes me feel bad for Dahmer, is because I feel like something is off in his brain, which we can't fucking tell. We can barely take care of the mental health issues that we know about, like depression, anxiety, PTSD, shit of that nature.
Right.
To even be able to
fathom this kind of.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and like, I don't know.
Well, and that's true, Caffeinated Slug. He went 6 years without killing. So how is he able to manage fighting? And that's like the question is, if it's like, did he not have control? Like, do you guys believe it's possible for someone not to control themselves? Because he showed restraint before. He was able to restrain himself.
Well, I have a shameless obsession with Dr. Phil, and when he talks about things, he says some people have an impulse that they don't resist, and some people have an impulse they can't resist. And so that's kind of how you tell the difference, you know? I mean, in my opinion, because he went those 6 years, I think he was able to resist it. And he did say he knew it was wrong. You know, that he knew it was wrong the whole time in his interviews.
I disagree.
He does that.
100%. I full on believe when he said that he was not able to control the urges. Okay, guys, I'm going to get graphic. Hold on. So, you know, when you're like this is gross. You know, when you're about to like come and like it gets to a point. No, I'm sorry, but listen.
No, I just didn't expect it to go there. No, you're fine.
No, it's about the urge. Like, and it gets to a point and you like have to, and you can't. Like, I fully believe Jeffrey when he said that he like could not control it. I understand. It was actually 9 years, guys. You can look it up. It wasn't 6. What was that?
That's Heather's clock.
What in the world?
Okay, so like, cool clock. I fully believe that it was an urge.
It's a loud ass clock.
As I do with a lot of serial killers, actually, but I do believe that it is an urge that they can't, at a point, like they can't not do it.
Oh, thank you, Rose Gold. So good to see you. Thank you so much.
Rose, that's so nice. Well, I remember what I was going to say. I don't believe either, like, and I don't, like, I'm not a doctor, but like I said, I've kind of dabbled in the medical profession. I don't think surgeries make people, like, they don't switch something in your brain. Like, I have heard of instances, like, of people getting in accidents or having trauma to the brain, like where they go in before the accident being like English, and then after the accident they speak with a British accent. You know what I mean? Like that does happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There have been studies on surgeries at young ages being traumatic. For children. So I don't know if that, because the dad said that it, you know, he noticed a change in him after the surgery. But But I think another thing that
what the dad
hasn't been brought up yet is just his mental illness in the first place. You know, like he was clearly, there was sociopathic.
Yeah, there was an absolutely deep psychosis for sure. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say, Boston. What did you just say before that?
Sorry. That there has been studies that some children at young ages who have certain kinds of surgeries, that it can be traumatic.
Okay. One of the things that Dahmer's dad, Lionel, actually said, that it was one of the things when he was a little boy. He said he was like 7 or 8 years old, and he had surgery. And
4.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So it was. Oh wow!
It was
so
4.
he was a
It was
baby.
Hernia.
Yes, you're right.
Double hernia.
And Lionel said that Jeffrey was like, they removed my penis. Like, they removed my penis. And Lionel was like, I just remember at that point in time being like, that's odd. That really is odd. And I think that Lionel has a lot of like guilt because he did not. And some people, quote unquote, want to say, I feel like the daddy used him as a science experiment. No, I think that hindsight is 2020, and the biggest issue with people like Dahmer is something is wrong in their brain that they cannot control. Yes, I understand he wasn't crazy and he knew what he was doing, but something up there wasn't right. And I feel like Lionel, from that time he said that as a boy after surgery, I feel like now, well, not now, but in the 90s, after Dahmer confessed everything and everything was brought to light, he went back to those stages and he wants to figure out the psychology behind what makes somebody, like, what is that makes somebody do the type of shit that Dahmer does, that Gacy does, that Ted Bundy does, that Green River Killer does, Golden State Killer, Zodiac, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't feel like that's him trying to use his son as a science experiment, because I know that Lionel, and it was showcased in the series, was really, really upset when he learned that Jeffrey had gotten no like mental health help.
Right.
Because he knew that, I mean, he's a scientist, he's a smart guy, like he knew.
Well, and the bombshell that he himself have struggled with these thoughts, he probably knew the severity of it.
See, I don't agree with that, because we all have invasive, right? Intrusive. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thought. That's like, okay, I'm driving with my friends. What if I just pull into the lake? Like, even though we would never do that, and that's not. So, in my opinion, I think that's what Lionel was referring to, because clearly he was not.
I agree.
At the psychosis level that Jeff was, but I'm talking a lot, so go on.
Well,
I agree with that.
Kind of too, like, if you guys don't mind, I kind of want to like go back to the beginning of the whole series on Netflix. And
I agree. I think we should.
The story, like, how many times the police dropped the ball, and had they actually followed through and listened, obviously these people would still be here. But then also my other question, obviously I feel like I know the answer. If the victims had been white, I feel like it had been a completely different story.
Well, that's how it plays. It's race and sexuality very much come into play at this time. And if it was, you know, a white victim or a straight victim, would this outcome be the same?
Right.
Yeah.
And to, like, if you remember, like, back in the 80s, well, you guys don't remember because you weren't alive, but you know, that's when the HIV or the AIDS epidemic, God bless you, took off, you know? And so I know a lot of people associated HIV or AIDS with the gay population. So they were treated like second-class citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in I hate to interrupt, but someone in comments was asking, and I can't see it because she has the pics up. If Cece was here, I think it would be really cool, real quick, to let Cece go over the pictures if she is here.
I'm here.
She's here.
Yeah,
Happy birthday, girl.
Happy birthday!
cool, real quick.
Oh, thanks, lady. I'm just really quiet today. But I mean, you guys are
unusual.
I know.
Okay, girl. I'll go. You talk through your pictures. I'll do like a little slideshow.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just waiting for you to put them up.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the other thing. Okay, so
Oh wow! So I have a lot to say with Kathy.
Okay, so this picture is from the back of the apartment building, like where the back of the apartment building would have been. So like, my car is like in the parking spot. Like if it was looking at like the back of the building. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what this picture is.
And so this empty lot is where the apartment building. And so did the neighbor live in this apartment next door?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if she still lives
And
there?
the apartment's still up right there? That's where that neighbor lives?
Yeah. That like where that apartment building that's there, that's where that lady would have lived. That lady that lived there was actually that Cleveland lady. The lady that lived in the building with him, her name was Pam. Or
Pamela. Yeah, Pamela something.
She lived, and she didn't live in the store. She lived across the hall.
Yeah, they basically combined two characters and into one.
I think they combined a little bit of both. Probably because the Cleveland lady was more outspoken with. I mean, she was mainly the one involved, but who knows? So this is like driving from the street that it's on to like the back of where that picture was just taken. So like this is the side. What would this would have been the side?
No, they don't. They still don't have a memorial. It's really sad.
Right. So like if you were like right here, like you would have seen the building in front of this building and like where they were taking everything down the steps. If you were standing like right here, looking that way. Those walkways are on the side of the building.
So this gate wasn't originally up.
No. They're trying to get people not to obviously walk running around on the property. But no, that gate wasn't there. And then this is like the front corner.
Ugh. Did you feel like, I know it might sound silly, but I'm a big person on energy. Could you feel any type of energy when you were there? Hi, Typhoid.
The first time I kind of did, but that was like 2 years ago. But when I went, like, it was just, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was alone. But then when I was there on Saturday, it was like there's tourists everywhere now.
Yeah.
So we pulled up and we like took a couple pictures, but like I don't know if you could see it. Yeah, actually, if you look like towards the middle, like right where those stairs are, there's a man outside. I think he was like on a lawnmower. And there was like kids in there, and they were just. I mean, they did look, but they did not want people there. But like, I was like took a couple quick pictures. Then like a van of people came. Then like a car of other people came, and then like we gotta get out of here. This is weird.
Yeah.
So you could tell people were kind of like when I went to the Amityville Horror House, it was like a random side road, but every car that passed kind of slowed down and would look.
Yeah, it's like the street that it's on. It's not like it's not a busy street, but it's not like a side street. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's what we call them in Chicago. It's more of like a busier side street. Oh, it's weird. But it would be normal to have traffic, but like if the cars is like a car that's just kind of like going a little slow, like you know why they're there.
Right.
Like he walked on that sidewalk, guys.
Yep.
That's
so did his victims.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make I think we'll end up going back there, but I want to make a comment. I think Pink kind of pointed it out. The caffeinated slug said if Dahmer was black, he'd have been done for early on. I 100% agree with that, because what was the first thing he got pulled over for was back when he was still living. Back when he was. You disagree? Oh God.
Absolutely.
Think about the
Austin. Don't make it a fight. We're gonna talk.
Pulled over for back when he was living at his.
Melissa, now you're laughing.
No, I love when you guys go back and forth.
Well, no, okay.
I love a good debate. Ask them. I love when people debate.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I want to let
The first
Cece
thing that
finish her
he got
pictures,
pulled.
though.
Can I just finish my thought?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that he got pulled over for was back when he was 18 and still living at his parents' house and had all those trash bags that were filled up with that guy's
Body
I
parts,
forgot
yep.
his first victim's
And
name. Yeah, body parts.
well,
And,
his
you
first
don't think that if he
victim
was a black
Tommy, right? And he was
man,
a white guy, right?
right? And I'm saying you don't think if Dahmer was a black man who got pulled over with a bunch of bags in the back, that the police officer wouldn't have investigated a little more or had probable cause. You might say, to go in the back and go through those bags.
I mean, we see it happen now. Like,
Exactly.
so
Exactly. And it was even worse then.
yeah.
I think with how many times he's had run-ins with police, if he was of African American race, I believe that he would have been caught. If it was one time we were talking about, maybe not. But with the numerous times, absolutely, I think he wouldn't have gotten away. Like, basically, he literally lucked out with every incident.
Especially when they were called with that 14-year-old child.
But
There's
does that
no
have
way.
to play? Ew, I'm sorry, Amber. Go ahead. I know I'm bad for that, and then
No, you're okay.
and I'm like,
Sometimes
no.
it happens. It's
Go
okay.
ahead.
But with that 14-year-old child, you know, I feel like if he would have been of a different race, that they would have investigated it more instead of just being like, oh, yeah, that's fine.
Just take his word for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit, like, that's the part that, like, wrecked me of this whole thing is the kid gets away only to get put right back.
That is the worst, yeah.
And murdered.
Mhm.
He died.
Well, he had already been through so much torture at that point.
Yep.
Okay, Cece, you want to tell us about the picture?
Sure. So
give it to us, birthday girl.
This is his grandma's house where he lived with the grandma. It's in
it's so pretty.
Like a little area next to Milwaukee called West Dallas. And like the house is like gorgeous. I just took this on Saturday. It's just weird to me that it's like still there and standing.
Those bay windows. Yes, this is awesome. Okay.
It's so pretty. How far away is this from his apartment?
It's like about 15 to 20 minutes. It's like smack dab in the middle of like a neighborhood. I mean, obviously there's no signs, but like
Jeffrey Dahmer's grandma. Like and you see the Beetlejuice sign with like the flashing red arrows.
Yeah.
Like people actually live there. Like I don't know. It's just weird to me. This is the first time I've ever gone to the grandma's house. It was just super weird because I live maybe like a mile and a half from where where Casey lived. And like that house came down.
Oh, really? In Illinois?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago.
Yeah, they did destroy that house. God.
Yeah. At any time, could you get? Well, they destroyed the Oxford too, but she got pictures. Like that would be so cool.
There's another house on the lot.
So,
you have pictures of somebody else's house?
Well, I mean, it's the.
I mean, I'll do it for you, girl.
Okay, I'll mute.
No.
I understand. Still,
I
these crimes were committed, whether there's something new on it or not. That's still where it occurred.
Well, yeah, it's still the ground. Yeah, no, I get it. It was just kind of funny because
it's such a nice house. It looks like a really nice neighborhood. How many victims do we know was at the grandma's house? I'll have to Google.
I thought it was three
or four.
Oh, you know what? I think it was three, and then he brought one back there or something. There was like three. I think actually happened there, and the fourth was something like.
I thought it was 5, but hold on.
It could be. It could be either 4 or 5. But yeah, it was weird because when I was sitting out in front with my husband, I'm like, I would totally live in this house.
Right.
Like I think it's so cute, and I love the moms outside. That's all.
I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay.
Let me put the people's bones and stuff in the backyard. Oh, I can't. Makes me think of life.
It's crazy. And yeah, Nasa, you're right. The cops made a joke of it over the radio, and we'll get into that too. So, what is this a picture of?
Google says 3
3. Okay.
at the grandma.
Thank you for Googling.
So this is the front, like from the side looking at the front. The white is the overhang is the front of that Ambassador Hotel.
And that's where one of the murders were committed. That's the one. Do we know if he actually really did drug himself? Because the interview I saw, he said he woke up with bruises all over himself and then he saw the victim. But in the series, they depict it as he accidentally drank the own drink, which drugged him.
Oh, I never heard that about drinking.
I saw him say.
Okay.
I saw him say in an interview, and I drank some too on accident.
Oh, okay.
So
he murdered someone in this hotel and got away with it.
This actually was the question that I wanted to ask Boston, was if she would ever consider going there to 507. Wasn't that the room? What was the room?
It was 5 something.
Yeah, I think it was 507.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? If they still rent that room out. I think all of these locations have got to have spirit energy of some sort.
I think that would be really cool. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
So
I'd
this
be totally down.
is still operational and running.
Yeah, you can and they're not like cheap. They're not like cheap rooms either.
You guys, he stuffed a body in that suitcase and rolled right out of it on that sidewalk.
Yep.
Hi, Wandering Sub.
I feel like a lot of I don't know, crime stories I've seen and stuff. I mean, I don't watch tons of true crime, but when I have, if there's ever a murder at a hotel, I feel like they always, usually it's a woman, being stuffed into a suitcase and then rolled out. Well, and that guy, if you guys watch Don't Fuck with Cats on Netflix, he did that too.
Sick.
Yep, he did. And I 100% agree, T. Adams. That's the least that they could have done after failing the victims so much. It's so frustrating.
Didn't the cops that failed that 14-year-old get a promotion?
They did.
Yep. They got paid time off. Paid time off for the to see if they were negligent or whatever, and then they came back and got fucking awards.
Yeah.
Yep.
So messed up. Can you imagine the family?
I was
seeing
wondering
that?
where
That's horrible.
Hey, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
Could you drop the link again? Because
Sure.
I want to smoke and I have to go on my phone.
Of course. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was wondering if the prank calls, if that was just for the TV series or if that
That's
really
what
happened.
I wanted to know too. Calling the victim's family and saying horrible stuff.
Yeah, that was
anything on that.
Yeah, saying don't look for them anymore, that stuff.
Yeah, go back to your country. I don't want to say the slur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. For some reason, I didn't see that in the series. I must have.
There were 2 scenes where the little 14-year-old boy whose older brother got drugged too, their family, as if they hadn't gone through enough, were getting prank calls saying literally go back to your country,
Oh, from the police, right?
They were,
yeah. I remember
they were
that
from
now,
Laos. And the cops were saying to them you're going to get this money, $850,000, just totally victim blaming and shaming.
Okay. And then what's this, Cece?
That's the side door of the hotel.
Oh.
No, this.
No, that's Club 219.
Okay. Club 219 was the nightclub that he would meet a lot of these victims at.
Yeah. So it's actually a Wall Street bar now. I can't remember exactly what it's called, Wall Street Stock Bar or something. But I was there early in the day and it wasn't open yet. And there's a bar, and I should have sent you pictures of it, but I never did. There's a bar that I go to that's about 100 yards down the street. The Dahmer also used to go there. and they sell like Dahmer t-shirts and Dahmer like thongs and Dahmer like, cigars.
That is
Yeah,
so
it's
gross.
crazy. It's so weird.
A Dahmer t-shirt from
Yeah.
like where but a Dahmer thong like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Odd to me.
It's weird.
So this isn't the bathhouse. It's just the club that he would originally go get drinks and dance, and then would take them to the bathhouse after.
Yeah, this wasn't the bathhouse.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if the bathhouse was like actually like attached, like it kind of looked in that movie, but I don't know. All I know is that this building was Club 219.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
219.
How far was this from his apartment?
Maybe like 10 minutes.
Because the way they depicted it in the series was it was walking distance.
Yeah.
Maybe like a good 10-minute walk. It's not far. I mean, all these spots are pretty close together with the exception of the grandma's house. It's like in like a suburb, West Dallas. But like everything else is pretty close together.
Right, Wandering Sub? It's so fucked up.
And then there's another place that I could have taken a picture there, but it was kind of stupid. I think I told you, Melissa, where the Ambrosia candy company or chocolate factory that he used to work at. Then that, when that sold and got torn down, whatever, that's the land that Fiserv Forum is on and where the Bucks play.
The what plant?
The Milwaukee Bucks.
I think she's talking about sports.
Sports ball?
Yeah,
Well, they turned the Ambrosia site where Dahmer worked into the Milwaukee Bucks arena.
right.
Oh, Milwaukee Bucks. Sorry.
Yeah,
I wasn't-
basketball.
Oh, I thought it was hockey.
That's why you just say sports ball, except for hockey. There is no balls in hockey. Well, there is between
There are.
the legs, I guess.
They're just on the players.
Oh my God.
Okay, can we talk about for a second how absolutely crazy it was that
That was a bad joke, sorry.
Dahmer happened to victimize two brothers? And
That was-
let me see if I could get the 911 call, at least the transcript of. So, which neighbor was it that called in regarding the 14-year-old boy saying, "My daughter says she sees him playing with worms out in the like." She knew it was a
Yeah.
child.
All those
I think it was the
like,
one in the
90% of
building
them, all those are
across the
all
street.
Cleveland.
Glenda.
It was
'cause
Glenda.
It was her daughters that saw
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It was like her daughter, and like her niece or something. They were always out hanging outside.
I want to try to get that.
Yeah, Glenda was the one that called. She lived next door, though.
Yeah.
She just happened to be hanging out on the stoop at the Oakbrook, or whatever it's called.
The place across the street.
And
Right.
Jeffrey was actually like, he was a hardcore alcoholic, and he went to get more booze when Cognac got away.
Jeff's been
Can
drinking
you
since
imagine
high
that poor
school.
kid if he still had any, like, I know that he had already been messed up a lot, but if he finally felt like he had hope of getting away and these people found him, can you imagine that? I mean, that breaks my heart so
No.
bad.
Yeah, that's what
can't.
I think was the hardest part for me.
Yeah,
Like,
he had uric acid in his head.
He drilled a hole and literally poured acid in his head. Okay, this is the real 911.
Well, and he wasn't the only one he did that to either.
No, but he
But he was a
survived
baby.
and
He
managed
was
to
14 years old.
still be coherent enough to make his way out to
But
know he
listen,
needed to escape.
somebody answer this, because I have not, I don't know the answer. So when he originally went to prison for molesting Cognac's older brother, was that in Ohio?
I'm not
Because
sure.
he went
if it
to
was...
prison.
He
in
was still
Ohio,
able
right?
to work. He had 40 hours a week work release, and his stuff was sealed, so he didn't even have to disclose what.
He went to jail in Wisconsin, I believe.
No,
he did 10,
it was
he did 10
Ohio. Is when
Okay,
he
well-
went to jail for a year for molesting Cognac's older brother, the 13-year-old.
Conorac's older brother.
Conorac, yes. Ew,
Well,
yeah.
he did
Sorry, I
10 I know he-
mispronounced.
He did 10 months for that.
Yeah, in Ohio. That was my question. Was that in Ohio, right?
Let me check.
I'm Googling.
I can't see that thing.
I
in
don't
Ohio.
know how it would be Ohio because the boys
It's
lived
Lionel
around
Oh,
Yeah.
well, hold
So-
on. Let's see, because that's my whole question was, did he
No,
go?
he was. Okay. Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term on his life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978.
It was Wisconsin.
Okay, but remember when he went to jail for like a year for
He
Mhm.
molesting,
yes,
and
he
it was
was living at
Cognac older brother,
he was
Yes.
Conrack. Sorry,
Mhm.
sorry,
He was
I said Conrax.
hmm
I think I have your answer. He was living at, I believe he was living at his grandmother's at the time.
Okay, so that was
And
Wisconsin.
then when
Yeah.
he got out of jail, his dad was like, you need to get your own place.
No,
Okay.
he was.
And
Okay, never mind.
that's
You might
when
be
he
right.
moved into the apartment.
Mhm. Right. It was at his grandmother's.
Hi, Katie Kai.
Yeah, he was at the grandmother's when he was one
So
of
I
the
think-
people. I
Oh,
think
look
they
at
show
that
that
baby.
scene in the
Rest in
series.
peace.
I think what happened when he attended Ohio State, he probably murdered someone here. Well, sorry. Guess what, guys? Guess where I live? Busted.
Busted.
Anyway, so yeah.
After Ohio State, I believe, because he flunked out.
Right.
His grades were poor, and he'd been drinking a lot anyway. I believe after that is when his dad kind of pushed him to go into the army because he had
Yeah.
nothing else. He didn't know what else to do with him at that point.
True.
Which he was getting in trouble for drugging and
But
molesting
Okay,
people there.
so
He was
the
20 years old.
molestation was not. So you're saying it was after he went to the army?
He wasn't
You have
molested.
to look at a
Correct,
timeline
yes.
of
It was
this.
after he went to the army. It was when he
Okay.
came back and was living with his
Jeff
grandmother.
went to the army,
Okay.
I think, in 1981, and he wasn't there long.
No.
I
And
think
he
he
was-
only had that first kill before he went to the army.
Right, and he'd been sent to Germany. He was stationed in Germany, and his drinking began again. So the army kicked him out for excessive drinking and drunkenness.
Does anyone think there's a possibility that maybe it happened in Germany as well, but he was never caught for any of that?
Well, back in the day, they said it was because of excessive drinking, but a lot of army people drank, and I think it was more along the lines back then that he was pretty much like touching people, other
I think
soldiers, while they
Yeah,
slept.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was. There's
So it
actually
was
a website.
89
There's actually a
that
website
he was
that
convicted
went-
of the second degree sexual assault.
when 89.
89.
So that was Conrack then, right?
Ah, no.
No, it
No.
was
I mean, his
not.
older
It
brother.
was his
His
brother.
older brother,
His
yeah.
brother.
I can't
Yes.
pronounce his name.
I know.
Oh, we're all messed up over here then.
When was Dahmer in the army?
1981.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was
I think
after.
that
Yep.
there-
Yes,
to
tattoos. He
answer
did that
your
mannequin stuff.
question, I think Pink asked that question. Did any of us think that like something that happened in Germany, like he could have murdered? I feel like he would have admitted to that because he
Mhm.
openly came forward
admitted
and
to-
admitted to all like
He told him
why
everything.
leave any
Yeah.
out, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, he told him everything. I don't think he even, I mean, being in the military, he wasn't there long. He probably didn't have time, you know, and
Well,
and
and
it's
they're
not,
under lock and key too.
they're all, yeah, they have curfews, and it's also not his home country, you know, it's not as, you know, how, it would probably be a lot harder to do something like that, especially in a foreign country.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna take the dogs out. Hold on. I have to whisper.
Okay, I'm gonna play this real 911 call of Glenda Cleven. This is after. Okay, so he already molested Conrac's older brother, which the way they depict it in the series is that this younger brother already knew about his older brother's charges and everything that happened, but he said it in a way that my brother told me you'll give me money if I take pictures, you know, like as if he willingly went in there. And I want to know, like, why would they believe that that's the case? Because that's just pure speculation. They don't know how he got to that apartment, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting.
But this is after he already, so Dahmer brought this 14-year-old boy in, drugged him. He left to go get more alcohol. Well, he literally, what was it? Drilled a hole in his skull, put in what kind of acid was it?
Muriatic acid.
Mhm.
Muriatic acid is something you clean like aluminum siding with, or brickwork, or it pulls grout and mortar off of the brickwork.
Yum.
It's like a cleaning detergent. It's a detergent to clean.
Well,
it's an acid. It cleans brickwork.
The acid. I wonder if the part of the father's story, if that's something that he actually talks about in his book, that he actually told his son about when they were doing their experiments with the animals. Because in the show, the father says, the crazy thing about when you're dissecting frogs, you can leave a little part of the brainstem in there, and if you put acid on it, the frog will move its arms. So I'm wondering if that is where he got that idea.
I think he was just
if that's
straight
accurate,
up
or if
trying to make a zombie, and he was willing to do science experiments to figure that out. How can I basically make this person's brain just, no longer conscious, but they're still alive? Right. He wanted them alive and to not be able to leave.
He wanted somebody that he could manipulate, what the dad and control. He wanted somebody to, like a doll. Like he wanted to be able to control and dominate the person.
I'm just wondering if that story from the dad was accurate, or if the series put that in there.
So Melissa,
prove that point.
I know you're dying. I want to hear this too, but can I just say something really quick before you play the recording?
Yes.
I just pulled up an article from October 2nd from the Cincinnati Enquirer. His first murder happened here in Ohio. He lived in a town, Bath, Ohio, which is like up by Akron, like towards Cleveland-ish area. And so I think that was the one that he had like mutilated and had in the bags.
Yes.
Because it's said in 1978 he escaped police attention. So
that was his first kill.
Yeah.
The runner.
Wasn't that the hitchhiker?
Rather.
The hitchhiker,
he had an obsession
not
with
the runner.
torsos.
Yeah, the hitchhiker.
He had an obsession with torsos, and he always had a fantasy about a hitchhiker and stuff. So he said when he saw this hitchhiker and he saw how beautiful his chest was, it was not planned. He just stumbled upon him and he could not control himself anymore. He said he had the most beautiful chest.
That was Stephen Hicks, and he was, I think, 18 or 19 at the time. And that was his first kill.
Yep, 18.
His first victim. And that's the one I think he chopped up and was pulled over with. With the
So he held on to that for 2 years because he scattered the remains in his parents' yard 2 years later after returning home from the military. Crazy.
And
it's kind of
while he was in the mail,
that was his.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying that his first kill was the killing him with the weight, the dumbbell or whatever, and that's essentially how he ended up dying as well. Exactly.
And it said the military looked into 5 unsolved murder cases that occurred during Dahmer's service years, but they found no connections. Dahmer decorated his room in the military with a poster of Iron Maiden and spent hours invested in a picture book about the 3 Billy Goats Gruff, which is a children's Norwegian fairy tale. In the book, a group of 3 goats try to cross a bridge to get food, but a troll tells the youngest male goat that he intends to eat him. The young goat convinces the troll to let him live, telling him that the next goat will be larger and will make a better meal.
That.
The second goat tells the troll that the third goat will be bigger and saves himself, but the third goat challenges the troll, and the troll is knocked off the bridge.
Yeah.
It's unclear how Dahmer interpreted the fairy tale, but his fascination with it speaks volumes to his later killings. And he sexually assaulted 2 men while in the military. one who was 20 years old at the time, Preston Davis, a black man, noted that Dahmer was a racist individual, and once he started drinking, he became a very obnoxious individual. He even noticed that Dahmer would brag about his victims. Jeffrey had killed his first victim a year before joining the military, and he would get drunk in the barracks and say, "I killed the guy in Ohio."
Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So do you think he killed his victims because they were people of color, or?
I think he may have had an attraction to probably, maybe like an African-American physique, like he had this attraction to the same sex, to male bodies, and he may have just preferred. I don't think it necessarily had to be race-driven versus that's just what his preference was.
He killed
Go
a bunch
ahead,
of. No, you go ahead.
No, go.
To add to what Melissa just said, he killed various races. I don't think he preferred any particular race. It's just I think the majority of his victims were black because he lived in a predominantly black neighborhood.
Right.
So I think
that's true.
Right.
Those were
based on where he was living. I agree with that.
Victims that he had to choose from.
I think that he was sexually attracted to Hispanic and African American people, and I think that also played into him being able to prey upon them so easily. But I don't think he did it solely on the fact that these are underprivileged people, nobody's gonna give a fuck. I think he legitimately, because there's a lot of people even in today's world that are of different races that are attracted to different races. I really think that he had an attraction to African Americans and Hispanic, and I think that also allowed him to again prey upon people that are quote unquote easy victims. In my opinion.
I agree with that. And I think I remember an interview of him saying that he, had some shame going with the fact that he was gay. He had some shame in that, didn't want to accept that. And I think that in the interracial relationship shame that there was back then, it's, intensified what he did.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, Melissa, I agree with everything everyone just said. I think it's a combination of all of those things for sure.
Okay, I'm going to play this it's only 3 minutes. Glenda Cleveland's real 911 call trying to save Konarak, and I cannot pronounce his last name. This is the 14-year-old victim who she and her niece and daughter, right? They saw him stumbling on the street, incoherent. He literally has acid in his brain at this point. And the police had already returned Konarak to Dahmer because Dahmer claimed that it was his boyfriend. His boyfriend was 19, I believe he said, that he was just drunk and he would take it home. And at that point, police also were really iffy with the whole AIDS epidemic going on and homosexual stuff. They didn't want to look too deep into it, in my opinion. That's how the Netflix also portrayed it. But this should be Glenda calling back to make sure they followed up and confirm that he was an adult, which they didn't.
The 14-year-old Laotian boy disappeared from his Milwaukee home May 26th.
The most noticeable thing about it was the fact that he was nude.
This woman's daughter saw the boy running out of Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment building that night, screaming and bleeding. And the boy's family, who came to America full of hope only 10 years ago, learned today that when police arrived at the scene, they believed Dahmer's story, that the child was actually his 19-year-old lover with whom he was having a spat.
One victim almost got away. Dahmer had drugged 14-year-old Konarak Synthasamphone, the brother of the boy Dahmer had been jailed for molesting the year before. As Konarak slept, Dahmer went out to buy more liquor. But while he was gone, the teen woke up. He staggered out into the street naked. A concerned neighbor called 911.
Okay, hi. I'm on 25th and State, and this is young man. He is butt naked. He has been beaten up. He is very bruised up. He can't stand. He's study fall out. He is butt naked. He has no clothes on. He is getting hurt.
Police arrived. By this time, Dahmer had returned from his beer run. As he had with police in Bath, Ohio, after his first killing, Dahmer smoothly lied. He told police that Konarak was his gay lover who simply had too much to drink. He brought the cops into his apartment and showed them Polaroids he'd taken of the teen. Proof, he said, of their relationship. The police believed the 14-year-old was of legal age and left him behind with Dahmer. They wrote the incident off as a lover's quarrel. Again, Dahmer had been slippery enough to keep his killings a secret. As soon as the cops left, he murdered the boy.
Remarkably, Dahmer was able to convince police that Konarak, a slight 14-year-old boy, was his adult lover, and together they returned him to the apartment. Like the police in Ohio more than a decade earlier, the Milwaukee police failed to conduct a thorough search. Had they checked the bedroom, they would have found the body of Tony Hughes, killed 2 days earlier. The police then called into the dispatcher.
Intoxicated Asian naked male was returned to his sober boyfriend, and my partner's gonna get deloused at the station.
Glenda Cleveland, whose niece and daughter had called 911, called police later that night to check on the status of the boy.
How old was this child?
It wasn't a child, it was an adult.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Are you positive?
It's all taken care of, ma'am.
But she was too late.
Makes me
after
sick.
Police left the apartment, Konarak's synthism phone was dead. And that's not all. Remember the boy Dahmer was convicted of molesting? Konarak was his brother.
Okay, so if someone was killed there 2 days before, I mean, like someone said, there's a distinct death smell. How did the police not pick up on that? I don't get it. I really don't.
Well, since that man had been killed only 2 days before, there may not have been that present of a smell yet. This is my guessing.
Yeah, but
I don't
Tony
know.
was the first victim, though.
No, Tony, like, I don't know, like, what other body parts would have been in his house at that time, but you absolutely would have been smelling body, like, even breaking apart in acid.
In the show, they make a
even
comment.
in 12 hours.
Even after 2 days? I think.
Yeah.
In the
Hell
show,
yeah.
they make a comment.
I think so. I believe so. I'll look it up.
I think it's like 12 hours when you can start to smell decomp. So,
Especially
in the
if you
show, they
don't
had made a
have,
comment.
central air, if it was in the summer, like so many factors would go in.
Yeah.
Was it acid in that barrel? What was in that barrel?
Acid.
The barrel was acid. So in the show, and I don't know how accurate that interaction is, but in the show, the police did make a comment about a smell, and he told them the meat story, that he had meat that went bad.
Now, you're telling me that if that little boy was white, that they would have returned him as easily? Do you really believe that?
I don't know.
I don't believe
or
that
if it was a
necessarily
female.
just because of the bias against gay people, and especially at that time I think the show did a really good job, like Heather was saying, with portraying what was happening, during that time period with the AIDS epidemic and the kind of like, oh, we'll stay back, like people afraid to even touch gay people thinking that they have AIDS,
God, the fact that they were even laughing.
What a lot of the
they were laughing, like a drunk, intoxicated Asian male was returned to his boyfriend, like just minimizing it as ooh, gay, like it's the fact that boy managed. Can you imagine? Like, he was fucked up in the head. He literally had acid poured on his brain, but he was still coherent enough to know to fucking escape. And imagine getting all the way out just to be escorted back. And what the saddest part is that we don't know how conscious he was. He may have been conscious, but unable to verbally express. So could you imagine if he was aware, but could not speak, could not do anything to express he's in immediate danger, you know, and being brought back.
Yeah, that's what I mean about maybe he had all that hope, and you know, especially when those people found him and he thought he was being rescued, and then I mean, I can't imagine.
Failed him.
I don't.
I
think
like to hope that by the time the police,
you know,
no, I think it was more about the gay thing than a racial.
Yeah, me too.
It was just that gays had cooties or AIDS or whatnot, and the cops didn't want to deal with it. They barely wanted to be in his apartment from
and he used that excuse for multiple occasions, like with Tracy. And he knew that saying that. Meat. What?
The rotting meat story? Like the refrigerator story?
No, like what Tracy said when he got away. Like he knew that and the rotting meat story, I guess. He knew that him being like, oh, that's my gay lover, because we got in a fight in 2022. What?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, that's my gay lover. We got in a fight. Like he said, what did he say? Things get rough sometimes.
And they didn't want to dig into it because of homophobia, which is what Evan Peters said in an interview about doing Dahmer.
Right. Yeah, there was probably just the police probably had an attitude like, all right, well, all right, your guys are gay. All right, well, just go. Just get out of here. Just go on. Right. All right, fine. They didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I feel like if that 14-year-old had been a female, then it would have been different.
They were in the apartment when, or didn't we just see that? I guess they were in the apartment when one of his other victims was on the bed, dead.
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, that's.
We just saw that. I just.
Wait, what?
When the police were in the apartment, and had they gone into one of the bedrooms, they would have found one of his victims that had already been dead.
Right.
Yes.
Not dead on the bed.
Not in the bed, in the barrel.
He was on the floor
in
behind
the
the bed.
Yeah.
He was already cut up?
No, he was on the floor.
Oh, he was
underneath. He was already dismembered.
Because he'd been there for 2 days.
Yes, he was. He was off. Okay, go ahead.
Look it up. I don't think he was dismembered yet. I think it. I think Jeffrey was
police found the Polaroids in the drawer with the handcuff key.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about
why is he laughing?
Hold on. We're talking. We're talking about the first.
Why is he laughing?
Pink.
I think just because we're all talking over each other. I don't think he's laughing at you.
That is cringe. That is funny. Okay, go ahead.
So the first, what Ecto's talking about is the first time when they went and returned that 14-year-old boy to the apartment. They did check the apartment out a little bit. In fact, one police officer even poked his head in the bedroom, and then they just kind of skedaddled, like, okay, let's let you.
But there was
if
nobody
they had
dead.
Walked in, yes, there was. If they had
there wasn't.
further,
he was not dead laying in the bed. You're fucking lying.
No, not laying in the bed.
That's what I said. That's not what I said. So let me finish. If they had walked further in, like behind the bed, the body of Tony Hughes was laying on the bed, or not on the bed, but next to the bed.
Right. He was on the bed. He hadn't been dismembered yet, right?
No.
Not according to Dahmer.
Okay.
No, he even talks about it in an interview. One of the jailhouse interviews talks about it. The guy was a full body on the floor, butt naked.
Right.
So he talks about when he walked in the.
When the cops come in.
Okay, Dahmer strangled Tony Hughes and left his body on the floor.
No, there was not.
Hold on. Dahmer strangled Tony Hughes and left his body on the floor for 3 days before dismembering him and taking images of the process. So Conorick, hold on. Oh man, I hate when you click it and it brings you to a different part.
Conorick was in the apartment.
It said they would have found the remains of Tony, but No, he was not in the bed, dismembered.
No,
he wasn't.
None of us have said that.
Yes, you did.
None of us
No.
have said that.
Yes, you did.
No, we did
No.
not.
Okay.
Please go back and rewind respectfully.
Okay, so it says Konarak, when Jeffrey Dahmer lured him back to his apartment while Tony Hughes's body was still on the floor next to the bed.
Yeah.
And Dahmer drilled a hole in Konarak's skull, but then he woke up, escaped, and was crying out for help. Yeah. So I was questioning. I thought he was dismembered in the tub or whatever you call it already. But
wasn't he in the bathtub?
That when he dismembered him, he then pulled him into the bathtub. But at the time that Konarak was returned, when the police returned him and they came into his apartment, if they had just gone into the bedroom, Tony's body was laying there next to the bed.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what Ecto said. And then I repeated.
Me too.
So he was literally dismembering two bodies at a time. He didn't even fucking finish getting rid of Tony's body before he's killing another victim. Can you imagine? This is how cocky this guy got, that he invited the police. Like, instead of, like, I don't even want to say a normal person, but let's say that victim ran away. The fact that he walked up to the police and had enough balls to claim him and say, yeah, he's my boyfriend. Come inside my apartment at any given moment. They are a doorway away from finding that fucking body, and he still let them in. All they had to do was go into that bedroom, take a peek.
I don't even know if it was cock.
Does that tell you anything, like, subconsciously?
I don't even know if it was cockiness.
I think it was cockiness. I think killers, when they get away with it at a certain point, get cocky. And he got pulled over. His first fucking kill, he got pulled over and let go. And the more and more you do it and the more and more you get away with it, the cockier you get. The same way you steal from a first time, like on a small scale. You steal for the first time, you get away with it, you're more likely to steal again. And again, to the point where you didn't get caught the last time 10 times, you don't think you're going to get caught this time.
I agree with that. If I was going to finish my sentence by saying I don't think it was as much as at that point, like right as these were all going back to back, like right before he got caught. At that point, I think there was definitely obviously cockiness, but I think he also just didn't care if he got caught or not. He talks about that in interviews, that, you know, he was just waiting to be caught. Like he knew what he was doing was wrong. He wasn't going to stop. I don't think anything he did, he didn't go to extreme lengths to cover up or hide anything he was doing. It was ridiculous how long he went without being caught, and that wasn't necessarily anything he had done right. It was about everything that the police had done wrong.
I would have been pissing myself talking to the cops with a dead body in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to be really calm about what he was doing. I mean, imagine going over there to talk to them.
Well, it's also part of his mental illness, I think.
And then when they went into his apartment, imagine how can you imagine your heart's going to be in your throat? Like having the police right there, just a partition away from, you know, a dead body that you got in the bedroom.
Yeah, you're a person of sound mind.
What were you going to say, Heather?
What makes you think, what makes us fascinated with this kind of, like, serial killers?
For me, it's the cannibal side. It's the fact that you can kill somebody and then eat their organs and biceps. He was a bicep guy.
Tell him about what he did with what they didn't put it in the series with the digging up the grave and then cutting the hole in the torso.
Yeah, supposedly he
wait, what? Because I don't like false bullshit like the people on Brittany's channel. What do you mean?
Well,
and I'm not saying it's false. I've never heard that. So what?
Well, it said that he.
No, you weren't even the one that said it.
I was asking him because he's the one who told me.
Oh, okay. My bad.
All right, so he removed he had like I guess he would stalk the newspapers, and then one particular time he saw an obituary for a young man that had died, and I don't know how the guy died, but the obituary, sometimes they put your photo in the paper, and he saw this guy's photo. He was a young guy, and Jeff took a liking to him, so Jeff attended the wake and the funeral, and I guess he went in later after the funeral and after he was buried. The guy was buried. He was so in love with this man, like he was attracted to him. And I guess Jeff went to remove his body from the gravesite, and supposedly, and I'm pretty sure it was this guy. I mean, I'll double check, but he put a hole in the man's torso or stomach, and inserted his thing inside of the hole in the man's body, in the dead body. He was having intercourse with dead bodies.
Necrophilia,
Right.
And he had that obsession with the chest and abdomen.
Can you share that, Melissa?
He's been doing that between kills. Like on his hiatus from killing people, he was grave robbing or disturbing the dead.
Yeah.
And he would attend these funerals.
That's not the first time that we've heard about this with killers, actually, because with Ed Kemper, he literally he decapitated his mom's head and then fucked her throat hole.
Yeah,
like
he did.
There's no nice way for me to say that, but like that's what he did.
Literally. Disgustingly, yeah. But what is that connection?
No, I'm saying like it's not. There's something that is consistent within these serial killers or killers just in general that I like finding the similarities and patterns. And so the fact that there's more than one killer who's done something similar intrigues me.
Melissa, have you ever watched Mindhunter?
Oh my God, so good.
Oh my
God. Really, really
Are you
good.
not so pissed that there's no new seasons?
I
was badass.
I really like that show.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Also, did you know like that guy was in Hamilton that played the detective guy? I just want to put that out there because I love me some.
I never watched Hamilton.
Huh?
I never watched Hamilton.
Oh wait, or was it the guy?
Wait, who?
Hold on, I'll look it up. I'll find it and send it to you in chat.
Was it Tony? No, not Tony.
No, this different show.
One of them.
Did you watch Mindhunter?
Oh, Mindhunter. Okay.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
One of the actors looks super familiar to me. No, I haven't watched Mindhunter.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I started it and I didn't really like the writing. I couldn't tell if it was the writing or the acting, but I wasn't a fan. But maybe everyone's been telling me the same thing, and I thought before I probably need to go back and give it another try.
All right, carry on.
I think they took that LGBTQ label off of Dahmer.
They did.
It was
Yeah, that was another thing I sent to MJ. I'm like, look at this. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, I get why they don't want to. I don't know.
To me, it sounds like they just threw it on there and then maybe we shouldn't have done that. Just go pull it off. Did you guys not see it first?
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's an important story to show part of the LGBTQ struggles, especially back in the 80s and early 90s with the AIDS epidemic and kind of how they were just, not important enough for police to take their investigation seriously.
See, the Curious Bunny says, I blame the father. I believe he was abused and covered for him. You believe he was abused by the father?
See, this is where I get defensive in a weird way, because yes, that's very possible, but there are so many people who are abused by their parents who don't end up being serial killers. Also, in that time period, there were so many children being born with their mothers on a shit ton of drugs. It's before they knew that shit wasn't safe, you know? So I think that all of these, everybody wants to kind of figure out the why, but I think, and that's a normal human thing for us to want to figure out, like, what makes somebody into this kind of a monster, you know? But so many people could have very similar situations to the way that he was raised. A lot of people were raised that way back then, unfortunately, because I think the show even says something about it, because of all the fathers that were back from the war that were dealing with PTSD, and there was abuse and alcoholism and negligent parents.
Retro.
You know,
I think that Portland's thing out. Thank you. Sorry about
I think that we may not ever, we will probably never actually know, you know, and that's why I go back to that. I think the way he was, his childhood definitely obviously was a part of it. His own trauma was a part of it, but I think there was very, very clearly a severe mental illness, which had a lot to do with what ended up happening. And I do think he didn't win the the sanity plea and go to a mental hospital, but in my opinion,
I'm so
he
sorry.
really wasn't sane. Insane people can be fully aware of what they're doing and still be insane.
Well, and that Grouchy Mama Bear, that poses a good question, because in that, where I pull up the nature versus nurture, there are people who have gone through not identical situations, but very close and similar upbringings. What makes certain people, result in having this type of, I don't know, like trauma, which do you think that trauma leads them to do this? Yes. Or do you think it's something they were born with? Or do you think it's both?
Both.
I think it's both too.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine.
Because you could get 10 people and put them all through the same trauma, right? And those 10 people are all going to have a different reaction to that trauma, and how they process it in their minds, how it kind of structures them as people going forward. But yeah, that's exactly what I was saying, is there was a lot of people, especially during that time period, that were raised in very similar circumstances as him, whose mothers were pregnant and on a shit ton of pills, whose fathers were absent or mothers were absent, or or had a mother who, it was possible, they don't really talk about this in the series, but I think it's probably very possible the mother was going through postpartum as well, which that's so common, and sadly not talked about enough. And there's a lot of women that struggle with it alone, but postpartum is extremely common. It doesn't mean your kid's going to grow up to be a serial killer.
Keep in mind too, he had a brother, remember?
David.
Mm-hmm.
So he's, Jeffrey's became the way he is, and how come his brother doesn't exhibit those behaviors?
Right. And they didn't even
because we're all
just,
individuals,
to me, that,
and you can't hone in, like, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, finish what you were saying.
Well, Boston was saying, like, even if that were the case, like, we cannot judge on how a brain was affected due to this set of problems, or this set of problems, or this set of problems meshed with this set of problems. So right. I think what?
No, I was saying right. Totally. I agree.
Yeah. So I feel like it's not really fair to do that in Dahmer's case.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just the perfect storm.
Let me ask you guys something.
You know?
This is something I've asked my friends that have watched it, like in real life, people on YouTube that have watched it, Faye, who's watched it with me. Why do I feel differently with Dahmer? And just, I feel like he had no chance. I feel like something that we cannot comprehend, even the highest of high scientists cannot comprehend, went wrong with him. He committed these heinous, brutal, absolutely vile acts of violence and crime. But how do we know, like, how do we, and I align with his, like, father with that, with, like, let's try to figure out what causes it. Because, like Ecto said, a lot of people have traumatic upbringings and they don't do that.
Right.
What Curious Bunny said, the animal killings, then learning to dissect animals produced a lack of empathy for life, mixed with the abuse by the dad and abandonment by the mother. So yeah, perfect storm. There was
and underlying mental health.
And alcohol.
Yeah. But I think it is interesting that it proves that, okay, let's say like you take Dahmer's sibling. I think why it's interesting is if you take, and any person who has any parent who has multiple children know you could raise these children in the exact same environment, in the exact same setting. You could parent them the exact same, yet they will come out as polar opposites. So I absolutely think the environment that you're raised in does play a huge part, but it also is something, whether it's the wiring in your brain, that determines how it's going to affect and or impact you.
Exactly. And from the father's...
The alcohol, I think, was a trigger. Or the alcohol gave him the bravery, you know?
The liberation, yeah. I mean...
Well, he was probably self-medicating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he already had the mental illness and was self-medicating to thinking it was helping him, and it just instead emboldened him.
Well, the alcohol might have caused it to come out, you know, to you know, like I said, there's like a bravery, like
right.
6 beers, you know, you're more likely to do something.
That makes me like so sad.
Even like, I don't drink very much, but like, oh yeah, like I would.
I drink at least 2 nights a week.
But I'm just saying, like, if I were to get wasted, I have been up on stage dancing like at a concert. I would never fucking do that shit if I was sober. Never, you know? So I think it does give you like Ecto said, the bravery to like be wild and like,
well, when you already have like a conditioned brain to things that aren't normal, because when you're normal,
you already had the
and you do that, you're not being like, oh, let me go get this guy and pour acid in his head and rip his, like, no. So and I'll probably echo, in my opinion, Jeffrey, a lot of the alcoholism was trying to hide his being gay.
Shame and being gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I feel like okay, so his drinking started, they say, in like high school. And I feel like that was the point in time that he came into like puberty and sexuality when he was meshing. His dad said, I wish I could go back into time and like figure out why he collided, like, I'm trying to be nice, like getting off with torsos and organs. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm supporting Jeffrey and no one else is, and I feel dumb.
Well, no, I mean, I get
be honest. Like, I feel stupid.
I look at him as a child, and when you look at him, it's like, oh fuck, like what? how do you go from an innocent child into such a monster at some point? Like, we're all innocent, you know? And so I could understand, you know, to sympathize on that level, because I don't believe any child, I mean, you know, and I've seen specific cases where it's like, yo, that child's evil, but like, what went so wrong from them, and what differentiates me, you know, versus them, you know, like if I was born in that environment or something like that.
I think we've had this conversation before, maybe over on Holly's, or maybe a time that Holly was up on yours, MJ, about that it's been found that a lot of sexual fetishes or sexual compulsions or thoughts are really, they start to form when you're like a toddler. Like they start to form at a very, very young age. And then when you go through puberty, they start showing up. So it is, and again, I just tie this back to, I wonder what that connection is with the hernia surgery and with the father talking about like he wasn't the same after that. And I'm wondering if that unlocked some kind of trauma in his brain that, you know, kind of lay dormant, but that then was fostered through everything else he was going through. And then he was interested in the slimy parts of the critters, but he also said, like, sexually, that he likes the way they glisten, that ended up being a turn on for him as he was going through puberty.
A word for that.
So it's definitely something like that. They ended the episode. I don't know, again, what's from the series and what's real or not. I haven't done enough research on, you know, what was outside of the series, unfortunately, at this point. But at the end, when the father wanted to, it was the father, right, who wanted to donate the brain to science, and the mother didn't.
No, the mother wanted to.
Oh,
and the father didn't.
Yes,
the father stopped it.
Oh yeah, sorry,
yeah. Jeffrey,
because
Jeffrey said he didn't want that, so the father stuck with it.
the mother was willing to donate his brain to science.
I think
but the father stopped it in court because, you know, him being a professor and probably more knowledgeable than the mother, a dead brain is of no use to science when it comes to something like this. So he didn't think that they would ever benefit by dissecting Jeffrey's brain and getting it. You know, what are you going to get out of a dead brain?
Yeah, right.
That was his theory. I don't know if that's true.
Very true.
But either way, it was cremated.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think?
I mean, that's why I think this is
So
so interesting.
are you against Lionel, or are you for him?
Who are you asking that to?
I mean, technically Ecto, but I guess everyone.
What do you mean by
I'm not
against him?
I'm not against him at Lionel at all.
I have no ill will or ill feelings towards Lionel. I think he did what he could as a parent. He's taken accountability for his part in Jeffrey's life and his upbringing.
Do you guys think he knew?
No, I don't get the sense that he knew anything. You mean like knew that he was committing murders?
Definitely not.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No,
I don't think he even saw the red flags, really.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I think that he thought he was hiding, like, being gay.
No.
Yeah. You
don't. That's a possibility.
I don't think any parent. I don't think any parent could fathom that.
What, being gay or killing?
Killing.
Okay.
Sorry.
She
I
was
thought she
saying
was
that
asking.
maybe he was.
No, I think
Pink was saying maybe that he was like kind of like blocking out that he was gay, not
being in denial.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he. I mean, at least the way that it was portrayed
Boston. I'll break it down for you. Okay. So a lot of people say, like, Dahmer's dad knew that he was a killer. I think Dahmer's dad, excuse me?
He had feedback. You're good.
Okay. I thought it was Boston trying to overtalk me. No. I think that his father thought that he was like gay and hiding like gay ideations, tendencies, porn. But some people say, well, I think he knew it. Like, I think that he was hiding that he was a killer.
Yeah.
And I was asking her.
No,
that.
I don't think he knew.
Well, do you think there's a chance he was just in denial?
I don't think
he
the
didn't
father
want to
knew her
know
at all.
I think maybe because he had somewhat the same thoughts that he just couldn't see the red flags, to be honest.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier, is I don't think I don't think any parent could fathom that of their child, you know, being like, so even if there was red flag, and he talks about how he goes back and like, how could I have missed all these things, you know? But I think it's because as a parent, like how can your brain even go there?
Right.
How can it go there?
I think he seemed like genuinely heartbroken in the interviews, trying to figure out how the hell he missed this and how it happened, you know?
Me too. And a lot of people say, like, well, how didn't he like smell the head that was in the box? Well, first of all, it was in a jar with that like liquid. I don't know what it, like, if you get like
embalming fluid.
Yeah, like that liquid shit that keeps shit like preserved. So he would not have smelled it. It was sealed. And I feel like he thought it was like gay porn. And then Jeff put gay porn in there the next morning and showed it to him.
Another instance of him just sliding right by. His dad was literally about to break open that box that had a fucking head in it, and he managed to make up with his dad quick enough to, before he smashed it, to where he I don't think he looked at it in real life, because in the interview he said
he didn't
that he had
smash
the human
anything.
head. No, he had the human head in there. His dad was pressing him, and his dad went out, I think, down to the basement to get something to smash it with, and Dahmer said he came in and he managed to make up with his dad. But that was another instance where it was one split second away from being caught.
That was actually the Oprah interview that Lionel did. And he said he went up there and Jeff was like, can I not even have like 1 foot by 1 foot square foot of privacy? And the dad felt bad for him. And he was like, I really felt like it was gay porn in there. I caught it before. And remind you guys.
Oop, you cut out, Pink.
Slipped away.
Oh.
You're muted, Pink. I don't know if that's on purpose.
And are you here?
Now we can hear you, yeah.
Okay, yes. And then it went to comments and I was like, no, get me back. So anyway.
Oh no, you're muted again. Oh, she bumped up.
No, she's gone.
Yeah. I'm gonna go use the restroom, so can you guys just talk for a minute?
So I have a question that I wanted to ask, that like part of me felt bad, like guilty for even watching it. I don't know if anybody else did, but like I know a lot of people, like as of late, and I kind of mentioned this like in one of MJ's other lives, that, you know, there's like tragedy pimps like here, like NC with oh gosh,
Gabby
Petito, yeah. And then you have like Brittany, who's been with Kylie. Like, does anybody find that this is like similar in a way? Like movies, documentaries, docuseries get made about all these serial killers all the time, and these people are profiting off the deaths of other people. Like,
I think some of the profit should go to the families.
I agree. And go ahead.
There have been several documentaries about Jeff Dahmer. I'm just making a general statement. Netflix isn't the first one to do this, but go ahead.
Oh no, I totally agree. And I mean, it happens with a lot of serial killers. It's not just Jeffrey Dahmer, but I'm just saying, like, I was reading an article, because we already know that the families didn't get much of a restitution. Like, what they get, like $23,000 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we have all these people who have made money. And so I Googled to see if the family's got anything from this Netflix, because Ryan Murphy's like wealthy and they didn't even know about it. And so it's really sad.
Yeah, some of the families are really upset.
Right.
Can I give you my thoughts on your overall question?
Sure.
I think that the making of movies or documentaries like this is extremely important because of history. I think it's, so I'm a big believer in the arts and education and history and making sure that history is not repeated in situations with serial killers. I think it's important to have these documentaries and the research and the movies and the et cetera, so that it reaches a wide audience and that people can ask these questions like we're asking tonight, and people can try to understand. I don't think anyone ever fully will, but try to understand and dissect, like, how does something like this happen? But I also think that there should be, like, it would be amazing if there was some kind of a law put on the film industry or the arts industry that if you're going to produce anything that makes a profit off of any of these tragic stories, that a certain percentage goes to the families, whether those family members are, I'm talking even back to a case of even put a percentage towards ancestors,
similar to like the Shenan's Law kind of thing.
What's
yeah,
that?
I'm not familiar with Shenan's Law.
Well, it's not a law, but they were trying to make it where people that are profiting from another's tragedy, like a murder or something like that, if they make any money, that the families see some profit
percentage.
Too, I guess.
I think that's an excellent.
Yeah. That should be.
Right now, the families are complaining. I mean, they're being re-victimized, and in a way, they are.
And they
because of the new interest in this case, and this case is also touching new generations. I mean, there are kids now, like my son's age, who've never even heard of Jeffrey Dahmer, and now everybody's looking at it.
Well, even like someone like me, who I always knew the name Jeffrey Dahmer, and it was a big serial killer and ate people, but this happened when he was arrested when I was 4 years old, and I never realized that I never really knew any of the details. I think there's a lot of people my age and younger that kind of the same thing. It's like we were living when it happened, but weren't necessarily old enough.
I was in high school. I think I was a freshman.
Well, turning 36 next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was 5 when he was arrested, so I'm in the
Wait,
same
when
boat
was he
as
arrested?
you.
91.
I wasn't born yet. No,
Oh,
okay.
so I was
yeah,
4 then. Yeah, I was 4.
Oh my God.
So.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people talking.
So, yeah, I would love a law like that.
But I see like on YouTube, I see TikTok videos, but these are younger people.
I think it's hard with this.
Acto was talking.
That's okay. I'm done.
No.
I don't know.
That. No, I didn't mean it that way.
You are on a lag, Boston. I've noticed.
Am I? Okay, because I'm like, am I interrupting people? And I don't think I am
But you always say that. But okay. Okay. I actually endear you now, Boston. But okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask something real quick to the women here? It seems to be maybe a consensus that Evan Peters is hot. Why the interest in Evan Peters? Is it
I don't think he is hot at all.
I'm asking, is it because
what would make you think
I
that?
think he's a good looking fella.
Is it because of what he looks like, or as a person, or is it because of the roles he's playing in Hollywood?
Did you not see his performance?
Well, I loved him before Dahmer. It's not just looks, because there are so many guys where if it was Tinder, I'd swipe left, right? But it's their personality.
You would not. You're a lying son of a bitch.
I'm not talking about Evan.
You're so full of shit.
I'm not talking about Evan. I said there are so many guys where naturally you may swipe left based on just their looks, but then you see their personality, their movements, how their face moves, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm attracted to them.
I just want to
I can't see it, but I love him.
Because he's playing like a serial killer.
He has that sick, twisted, bad boy, fucking demented sexiness. Yeah.
He's always playing these crazy roles, the sadistic, kind of crazed.
He was the Flash. How is that sick and sadistic?
Well, I didn't know he was the Flash. I'm talking about from Dahmer and from American Horror Story. The roles that he's always played were, crazed person.
Not in season 2, which is my favorite, or 3 or 4. You're lying. No, he does not. Maybe 1, but not 2, 3, or 4. And then he plays H.H. Holmes in 5, which is
Well, I haven't followed his entire
Hotel,
career.
but
I'm only going by the part of his career that I do know of. And every time I see him in a role, it's always
he's played like 4 serial killers. Well, and in one of the seasons of American Horror Story, he's played like all the serial killers in one.
Yeah, he's always played some.
No, he hasn't. You're lying.
What?
All right, let's go through this.
Okay,
In season 1, he played.
He was a school shooter. Okay, go ahead, Heather. Go.
No, I
go.
Crazy
Bitch, I love you. Go. You know
was
your
it
shit.
Kip?
Go.
Was it Kip that he played in the first season?
Kip.
Okay. Kit,
Yes.
sorry. And then second season was the one with the insane asylum.
Asylum, yeah.
Yes.
And who did he play in? He played a patient, right?
Yes.
No, in season 3 in Coven, he played
the jock boy who got killed and then put back together. But in the second season, he played the patient, yes, who was wife abducted by aliens. 4th was the carnival.
You're not getting any
right?
more.
Oh, I love that one. Oh,
it always seems like he's the antagonist in films. That's all.
No, he was a good guy.
And I wonder if that's the fascination with him, with some women.
Well, speaking of fascination, I read that what's his face, Zac Efron had a hell of a time playing Ted Bundy. Like it really fucked him up.
I heard that too.
Yeah. Well, the St. Evan Peters said, like he said that diving into this role was taking him away from his family, like and his life, because he needed to be so immersed in it. And it takes a lot out of you to try to get into that mentality. And
and one of the family, I think it was Earl. I don't remember his last name. I'm so sorry. Earl from the slayings of Dahmer. They were like, we feel like we should be paid. Well, okay. Never mind.
Oh, that's Errol Lindsay.
I'm not doing it. I'm not
Errol Lindsay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm not I'm trying to figure out which.
No, it's bullshit because like I understand that doing a huge hit series on Netflix, which obviously a lot of us watch, could bring back old memories. But at the same time, you're mad because you're not like getting. Okay, guys, specifically, it was the lady who had she like yelled and she was like, "Fuck you, Dahmer," and all that.
It was her brother.
That was Tony.
No, it was a woman.
It was Tony's sister.
Yeah, his sister. You want to see crazy, out of control? Yeah.
Yes. And she's like, Jeffrey, aka
I hate
Satan.
you.
Like, yes. But it's like at the same time, you want paid, which I get that. I get people, but more than being paid, you should be happy, in my opinion, because Evan Peters said himself that the whole entire show was to showcase
everything
things from the victims, how the police let shit go on because of racism homophobia, and it was never meant to portray like Dahmer's specific point of view. Okay, well, be happy that
I
it's
can
still
agree with that.
That it's still out here and we're talking about it. I'm sorry, I get Netflix, like they have money. They could have shelled out a little bit of money. But at the same time, isn't your voice that you were speaking in court that day worth more? Isn't that priceless? Like, how can you be mad when this show was specifically meant to portray? And it gave us a sense, you guys, even though Glenda didn't live in the apartments, it gave a sense of those people that did, that seen what he was doing, that smelled the smells, that couldn't sleep at night because of the electric knife or whatever. Like, I think that's more than a Netflix, what, like 10 grand paycheck? Fuck that.
Well, I mean, if it was my kid that had gone through that, I would think that I would want to at least be talked to about it first before the series came out. But I also agree that the series is important.
But you don't get that luxury. What about everything that's done in like history where people like we're going over history? Even Lizzie Borden, Boston, right? Like that's an old, it may be vintage, but it's still true crime. Like
I don't think it's something that we can understand unless we were in the victim's shoes. You know, like it's very easy to sit here from an outsider and say, you know, oh, listen, we have the right to discuss this same thing, like kind of what's going on with the Kylie Rodney case right now, you know, but it's not until we're actually in that situation can we really even comprehend where they're coming from.
But I guess I am speaking for myself, but if it were my loved one, like more than a $10,000 Netflix paycheck, like I would want that version out. Do you know how fucking it was so sad, you guys, in the Tony episode with the 2 fingers, 1 thumb? That means that breaks my heart. And
that was the other hard episode for me.
Oh my God. I had to skip. I'm not gonna lie. Like I had to skip a little bit. Like I could not. But I don't know. I just think it's stupid.
Well, you guys, I feel like I'm sorry, Pink. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was just gonna say, like, that's definitely like you given me food for thought. Like I agree with Boston. Like I'd never looked at it from like a history perspective. And like I can see your point too, Pink, like that, you know, but at the same time, like I totally agree with Amber that they should have at least been given a notification or something.
Why? Amber, is she here?
No, she got off.
Oh, okay.
But like, I don't know, you know, basically they're just finding out from their friends who are calling like, hey,
cool. I cammed up and something is wrong. So sorry. Okay, go.
Yeah, so I think what everybody said, like, I can totally like see that perspective, you know?
You know, for me, can I just say that the Tony Hughes, like how the series later on in the series, it kind of breaks off and we start to hear about this, like a second story about Tony Hughes. And for me, that was really surprising because it had, up until that point, it had been all about Dahmer and his story and his killings. And then all of a sudden we get this surprise, like, I don't know what to call it, like a sub story or about Tony. You know, it starts at his birth. His mother's in the hospital. She sees a doctor. Like it tells his individual story from the point of birth to the reason why he was deaf. You know, that kind of surprised me that they did that.
But that's what I appreciated about it.
To me, it was in a good way. It was a good surprise. It was a nice kind of thing that they did for him.
Well, it's not just focusing and glorifying like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's like telling a story about not just his victims, but his victims' families and what the families went through, what the people like in the apartment complex experience and the trauma that they went through. I mean, so I just thought like that was something that I appreciated. Because a lot of times you get serial killer shows and it's just like it just talks about their killings and nothing else, and there's so much more to the story. So I think that's, I don't know, I just really enjoyed this series on Netflix.
I know I just popped back in. I agree with you, Heather. And I do wish that especially someone as big as Ryan Murphy had taken the time to, and it could have been done in such a better way, if you had taken the time to actually try to get to know, communicate, talk with the actual family members of the victims, about portraying their loved ones and in an accurate light. And
I think they did an excellent and accurate job. I do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think that the family, it would have been nice to have the family,
they want money,
on board with it, let them know about it.
But any other person that has had a documentary or a movie or whatever, even as far back again, like the Lizzie Borden shit, that's still true crime. It may be old, but it's
absolutely
true.
Nobody.
I don't.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know if you were on. I think you had dropped off panel when we were talking about
I'm all over. I'm sorry.
we were talking about earlier. Heather had kind of brought this up, and we were saying how I think that there should be a law passed. Ecto said it's similar to Shanann's law, the idea of Shanann's law, where families get automatically some kind of a restitution or payment when a profit is made off of their loved one's story. Right.
But it's Dahmer's story. It's not, I don't know.
What? This,
I mean, I guess what, for me, like I said, it goes back to myself and my own perspectives of, if I were one of those people, I would want my family members' voice, side of things, point of view. I would want that shown, showcased, acknowledged.
Absolutely.
And I think that is exactly what Ryan Murphy and the people that played in it, Niecy, Evan,
Nash. Yeah, she was great.
Great.
Well, and I think
that fell off.
Amber, that's it's a good point. Because can you imagine basically the death of your child, all of those parents, whether they're your child, it's your, it's a father, it's your brother, their lives, their stories are getting basically minimized because all people are fascinated with is Dahmer. And I can understand that, that's where my fascination is too. But it almost feels like their stories do get lost in it. And again, I am always head deep in the true crime and I'm fascinated and I'm digging in it. But that's why I'm like,
but I can't my point. They should be happy.
Well, not necessarily, because
why? Because
I can't.
Well, a whole lot of the victims weren't even mentioned. A whole lot of the victims weren't mentioned until the very end. They had an entire episode on Tony Hughes, which I thought was fabulous. I thought that would have been awesome if they could have done that on the other. Hold on, let me finish my thought, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you always make fun of me for interrupting,
really,
but you interrupt me a lot.
I know, I'm bad. I'm horrible for interrupting. Go.
It's okay. I think it would have been awesome if they could have done an episode for each victim. It would have been a very long fucking show. But what my point is that I think there at least needs to be, if you're making these kind of productions without notifying the family about it, first of all, that it's like, by the way, this is upcoming. I don't think you necessarily need to get permission, but I think there needs to be a set statute in place that there's some kind of monetary. Yeah, if you're making a profit off of it, a small percentage. It's not like, because you obviously to be in the capacity to make a film and or a TV series, you need to make some kind of a profit. But at least a percentage that's just automatically goes to victims' families, I think isn't a bad idea.
I understand the argument that it's good to keep things in the light and to bring awareness to it and don't let the memory die. But in these situations, like, well, is it not letting the victim's memory die, or is it not letting Dahmer's memory die? Because again, when they're doing series like this, that means that they also need to prepare themselves for how much their either sons or whoever's name is going to get put in the spotlight. Then they're going to start digging. Then it's the same thing when I did the Brandon Tina story. We started digging on the people who are still alive and their Facebooks and this and that, like you need to prepare. They at least should have been given the heads up that this is what was, planning. This is what was going to come out, to prepare themselves for the next time they turn on the TV. This is going to be all over it again.
Well, that's what I mean. What I said earlier, that the story is being discovered by a new generation of kids, a new generation of people who didn't know about it just before the series came out. So these families are upset because they're being re-victimized, or they feel they're being re-victimized. And I can understand why, because now there's just this reignited interest in this
case. How do you suddenly not feel victimized if you're...
Go ahead.
We lost you. The last thing we heard was, how do you not suddenly feel victimized?
So embarrassing. Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and now I forgot what the
That's the second time that happened. She's back and then she falls off. She'll be back.
I think this is a great question for Smile. Smile says, how did the show impact your feelings about Jeff? Or did the show impact your feelings about Jeff more than the victims?
That's an excellent question.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
And then how did the show impact your feelings about Jeff? Anybody want to take that one?
What was the first? So it's 2 questions?
Yeah. So Smile says, how did the show impact your feelings about Jeff? And then did the show impact your feelings about Jeff more than the victims?
Definitely not more than the victims.
Yeah, I can answer both. I can answer both parts. For me, they didn't impact my feelings about Jeff. I had already watched My Friend Dahmer before, which I think is interesting because I watched it years ago. And
is that with Jeremy Renner?
I keep hearing that one. I'm gonna have to watch that.
No, it's somebody else. Okay. But what's interesting about that movie is it's not a movie about a serial killer at all. In fact, the movie, spoiler alert, but the movie ends right before he would commit his first murder. Okay. So the movie's more just this kind of, again, scoping out his psychological state. Yeah, look up and see who that is. I don't know who that actor is.
Well, there's another movie with Jeremy Renner. I thought that was the name of it.
Yeah, there is another one with Jeremy Renner. That's why I knew it was a no right away. But it's really interesting. I recommend it. It's not, if people are looking for a movie about the murders or whatever, you're going to be disappointed because that's not what part of it is. But it's really interesting, and it's his actual childhood or high school friend made a comic book about this, and then it got turned into a movie. So I don't think the series really changed my feelings about him, because I had always kind of had this feeling, and I have similar feelings about all serial killers and just their mental state. There's a moment where he asks, "Am I evil?" to the priest, and I do believe in evil as an abject term, but I don't believe that any single human being is evil, pure evil. I think that their actions can be pure evil, but I think that those evil actions come from something deeper psychologically. So that's my answer to that. The second answer is that no, my feelings towards Jeff versus the victims, I thought what this show did for me was give me a lot of feelings about these victims that I had not previously had. To me, it was just, oh, he killed 8 people, but I never knew the victims' names. So that's a first.
Oh,
I got all the victims. I never knew anything, so I didn't know the victims' names. I didn't know their stories. I didn't know I didn't know the LGBTQ part of the story. I didn't know the race part of the story that came into play. So I think that that's an excellent byproduct of what this series is doing for, I'm sure I'm not the only one that didn't know that all of those details, especially the younger generation, like Hector was saying.
Do you feel bad?
Sorry.
Do I feel
Do
bad?
You feel bad? Yeah.
No, I don't think it's any one person's.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't. For having not known the victims' names previously.
Oh no, honey. Like.
Oh.
No, like in general for Jeffrey. Jade.
Oh, do I feel bad for him? Yeah, I think that there's part of me that absolutely does. I feel bad for anybody who, that's, look at their life. Like, what a waste of a life. Yeah, there's a part of me that absolutely feels bad for his life and what ended up happening. That it's a torturous fucking existence. I'm sure. But I feel way more bad for the victims, of course, and their families.
I mean, yeah.
And this is the photo that he snuck into the honor roll photo for
there's
the
actually
yearbook?
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot more. He was in, they don't show that in the series, but in My Fandom you'll see him and his friends planned, he had a fan club in high school, the Jeffrey Dahmer fan club. And
You're lying.
No, it's true.
Called
and they
doing a Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer fan club from his years in high school.
Yeah. And it was basically like the first version of Jackass, the show Jackass. It's like this group of kids, they were inspired by National Lampoon at the time, which was really big. And he was just this weirdo in school who like had no friends. And this group of kids, this group of boys befriended him because he like would spaz out and do weird things and spazzing out. And really he was making fun of mentally of people with different handicaps, and it's not cool, but kids
he was doing the
in
whole
high school at that time,
like where you slap your chest,
right?
And like,
he was making fun of his mother's interior designer who had cerebral palsy, so it's actually horrible. But the kids or the boys that befriended him were like, hey, we can, like, hey Jeff, go do this, go do that, and like he was doing it. So I recommend anyone who has not seen that movie, definitely give it a watch because it's really interesting. They snuck him into all the yearbook photos, all the club photos.
But can you imagine that feeling? Like he wanted so desperately to belong, and then the moment where he did see his face blacked out, like that reminder that you don't belong.
You don't belong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even be in a photo with us. Well, like, and Nate says, I have no sympathy for Jeffrey. He made his choices, and those choices impacted many others. Smiles said, if it's possible to put aside what you have already seen prior, is it possible that this show made some people look or feel differently about why he did what he did? I think anytime you humanize someone is when you start to have those feelings. Like, with this,
the
it's like
feelings,
right. It would be sympathy, not because I don't empathize with him. I sympathize with him, like on a level. But it's when you start to humanize him, when you start to look at him as a little boy, as a child, for me as a mom, that pulls on my heartstrings, like that. He was a child once, like, and children are so innocent. Like, at what point, what the fuck happened that caused this outcome,
I don't think it was his fault. I don't
either. I think he had obviously he had a sickness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that
has anyone watched The Patient? Oh, sorry, Hector.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Has anyone watched the Patient
No,
on
but
Hulu?
I want to. It's on my list.
You
Yeah,
guys
it's not
keep
based on a true
talking at
story
the
or
same
anything. It's
time,
just...
so I can't hear. Wait, what?
Sorry,
With,
that might be me again.
Steve Carell.
I love him.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying it's not based on a true...
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's not based on a true story or anything, but it's, goes into the mind of a serial killer who basically wants help, like psychiatric help. And the word compulsion is used a lot, which I found interesting because, at least in the series and the interviews that I have heard, Jeffrey Dahmer also uses the word compulsion a lot, and compulsion is a real... I mean, there's so many different levels of it, but I mean, it's a real mental illness. And when you think of that exemplified...
Melissa.
Yes.
Do you want some crime scene photos?
Oh, I already saw them all.
Okay.
I definitely can't show them here, though. I'll get it. I'll get them down if I do that.
Sorry. Okay, go.
That's okay. I think I was
terrible
finished with my
what
thought.
he did, but I feel bad for him. And like, I ask people, and I want to ask you guys, like, why do I feel bad for him when I don't like other people? And he was horrific. Why do I have compassion and want to be like, God damn it, I wish that like his father was right and shit could happen to... I feel so bad.
Can I potentially answer that for you, or my theory? I guess.
Try.
If you're asking.
Go.
I think that, because when you say "and I don't" for other people, do you mean like other serial killers?
Yes.
Like other big, yeah. So
yes.
I think with his case in particular, because I was thinking about this myself, there aren't many quote unquote famous, huge serial killers out there where the story comes to an end quite like his does. And his story came to an end where he was arrested and immediately cooperated, immediately admitted to everything, immediately went into details and stories about his upbringing.
Boston, hold on 2 secs. I have to say, I think it is so fucked up that his brain was not able to be studied, dissected. I think it's so sad because I think we really could learn so much, but
yeah, Ecto made a good point on that earlier.
It breaks my heart. But go ahead. Why do I feel bad?
I feel bad for him.
Bundy, BTK, like those.
Did you hear?
I'm like,
did you hear my explanation?
No, go. I'm sorry. Go.
It's okay. I'll repeat myself. I think that it's possible because his ending, the ending that we got from his story is so much different than a lot of other big serial killers, where he immediately was apprehended and immediately, when questioned by the police, was forthcoming, told his entire story, multiple outlets and different, detectives and officers as well. The story was public. We know so many details about his upbringing, about, we've got the book from his dad. We've got just so much more than some other notorious serial killers who literally, like in the case of, like they show the difference right there at the end of the series, in the case with Gacy, who denied it until the day he was executed, I think that could be part of it, as to why maybe there's
like he
some
had
feelings
humility about it, maybe.
And we just know more. We know more, and there's that, what saying everything you did in a way brings some peace to the families, so that part of the anger gets a little less intense. I don't know. That's just my thought on it.
Yeah.
I had
Thank you.
To kind of like
Thank you for real
on that, Pink. Well, go ahead, Ecto. You were going to talk about it too.
I'm just saying I feel for him in a lot of ways because I think a lot of his actions were not voluntary. I think he had a deep-seated sickness. And he acted on it, and that's the part of me that feels for him. Like, he was obviously a sick guy.
Hey, Ecto.
This isn't a guy that was out
Wait, let's hear him.
snatching purses or breaking into houses. That I can't feel sorry for. But if this is something that's in his brain, it's who he is. He's wired to do these things, and I can I have some compassion for that. I'm not excusing his actions. It's just
I think it's compassion as a fellow human, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Heather, what were you gonna say?
Well, and to piggyback on that, on Pink's question, bless you.
Thank you.
Do
I
people?
know. I'm sorry. I'm snorting, snotting, sneezing, coughing everywhere. I'm sorry. Okay, go.
I was just wondering if people in chat or you guys feel like justice was served when I say justice, I don't mean his life sentence, multiple life sentences. I mean, with him being killed in jail, does that bother people that he wasn't left to rot, or feel like he got the easy way out? He only did what, 3 years?
Well, I was going to ask you guys that. How do you feel about his demise? Do you feel like it was justified? Do you feel like he deserved to rot in prison? I feel like, all right, let me go down the list of the people on panel, and I want to hear everybody's individual thoughts. So Heather, just because you're
good idea, yeah.
What do you think?
Man, I don't know. I don't think murder is ever really the answer. So I think personally, his incarceration, that was his punishment, and he didn't have to do that punishment. So I feel like in a way he was glad.
Didn't even fucking get into cannibalism.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Heather.
So yeah, I feel in that instance, he didn't have to, his punishment was however many life sentences. He didn't even get through 10 years. You know what I mean? So I feel like in that way, justice wasn't served, because the justice was supposed to be him getting these multiple life sentences, and he didn't even do one of them. So I'm kind of pissed that he was killed. He should be forced to live out his time in prison, suffering and not living, a life.
Okay, Shaq.
What do I think about?
Yeah, the way his demise. Do you feel like it was justified, or do you feel like he deserved to rot in prison?
Sentence?
Right.
Shaq, are you from up north? You sound like Dahmer. You don't have to tell me. Are you a Yankee?
Am I a Yankee?
A Yankee?
Are you a Yankee?
Am I from northern states?
A Yankee would be New England.
Yes. No.
I'm from the Midwest.
Well, you're actually right. So now, thanks for embarrassing me. Thank you. Are you northern? Your little accent.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
My accent.
Your accent.
You do have an accent.
Melissa, he's being naughty. Is he from the north?
He
to be honest, like
I don't know.
Yes, and his name is Jon Snow.
The north.
Okay, go.
I'm
sorry.
very bad at
I'm sorry. You guys know okay, go.
No, you're fine. So what were you saying, Jack? That you feel like
I don't remember.
Well, I was asking you, do you feel like it was justified, or do you feel like him rotting in prison for the rest of his life would have been the better outcome?
I think him serving his sentence probably would have been more justified than Christopher Scarver's choice of action and bludgeoning him with a barbell.
Yeah.
I think he's a lying piece of shit.
Who?
All right.
Scarver.
Are those
but go.
Well, Scarver was already in there for he shot his boss over what he thought was Christopher Scarver. Yeah, it was $15. He felt he was shortchanged or that he was owed more money, and the guy gave him $15 because he was a carpenter apprentice.
Well,
and I guess he felt he was owed more money or something. I don't remember all the details from that story, but I did know that he shot his boss over the money.
Oh, interesting, Valerie.
And that's what landed him in prison in the first place. But he was supposedly diagnosed schizophrenic, and I guess this is the kind of guy that hears voices in his head.
Yeah.
So I guess those voices are what told him to kill Dahmer and the other gentleman, because he killed two guys. Jeff was not the only one that was killed that day.
Right.
There were two men. The prison guards had them mopping up the men's room. The three of us, Scarver,
and
Dahmer,
they were not supposed to be together.
Right.
Like it would, yeah. Okay, go.
But so they think that maybe the prison guards, as kind of like a setup, knowing how Scarver was, because Scarver didn't like Dahmer, and they were kind of set up like locked in the same room and let's see what happens kind of thing. And Scarver ended up killing him and the other guy. I forgot the other victim's name, but two guys. Dahmer died on the way to the hospital, and the other guy died later on from his wounds.
So Valerie said, I heard a lot of the victims' families put money on Chris Scarver's books, who killed him. Other families were upset he didn't rot in jail, but most were happy. And from all of that's really interesting, Valerie. Thank you. And out of all of the true crime documentaries and things that I've watched throughout my life, I feel like it's pretty much 50-50. You have the families who feel like the only justice their loved one, the victim, can get is death to the perpetrator, you know? And then you have the other half who is like, I want them to live out every single day rotting in that jail. So I feel like it's pretty much down the middle of how people feel. But okay, Boston,
can I
go ahead with your
potentially change, because I'm going to be the first one so far out of the people who have spoken to say that I disagree with them. In my opinion, I would like to highlight real quick that with all of us, with Heather and Ecto so far.
All of us. That means you. What do you mean? Hold on.
Hold on. Let her
with
finish.
Everyone on panel but you?
No, Heather and Ecto both said that he should have lived and done his sentence. Boston saying she disagrees and she thinks he got what he deserves.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain why now.
Sorry, I give the girl a hard time, but she's cool. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I think that for somebody like him specifically, who had absolutely no, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the right word to. He didn't have a life, right? He didn't have anything really to live for in regards to his mental state. Yeah, you could say the drinking and the partying and the murdering or whatever. Maybe he got enjoyment from that. I don't know.
Could you really imagine being a
can
gay
I finish?
man in the Boston?
Because
no,
it's going to fuck up my thought process.
Okay, go.
Melissa said, let's go down the line and have each person explain. So I'd like to explain and not take too long because I already used too many words as it is.
Boston, you really found your voice. I dig it. Go.
Okay, thanks. All right. So what was I saying? Oh, that I didn't think he had much of I don't think that him in prison, you know, he didn't know how to live. That's why he went from got kicked out of college, got kicked out of the army, got kicked out of his grandma's, went to prison for sexual assault and so on and so on. I don't think that living outside of prison was necessarily any better than living the rest of your life in prison. I think living in prison and getting, you know, your 3 square meals a day and getting, you know, your necessities I think that's all he needed to be just content, you know. Prison is definitely a punishment because it takes away a lot of your freedoms. I don't think he had a lot of freedoms in life, to be honest. I think he was trapped in his own head. I feel like his life was a prison in his own mind, in a way. So I think that, yes, he deserved to be killed. I hate saying that because I don't obviously condone murder, but in this very rare instance, I think it was kind of poetic justice in the end. I also think it's extremely interesting that, so not only was he killed by a black man, he was killed with he was killed with a dumbbell, which was his first murder. And we talk of the series, but also just the story in general touches back to that point of mental insanity and criminal insanity. And how do we, is there a problem within our society where we're just not treating the mentally ill and not doing enough research, not getting mentally ill people enough help, where they end up committing these crimes and then going to jail, where maybe there's a different solution there, because he was killed by somebody who thought he was talking to God. So I think the whole thing just makes sense, in my opinion. I think him living in jail wouldn't have necessarily been a punishment for him. When you say rotting in jail, yeah, that'd be cool if it was like old Game of Thrones style and he's in a dungeon somewhere just like literally rotting away and like eating a scrap of bread a day in like a dirty cellar somewhere, but that's not the reality of what prison is.
Okay. Amber?
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
So I think that maybe there may have been some underlying mental illness or some sort of chemistry thing from when he was a baby and when she was pregnant with him. And I think that it could have been avoided. Like, if there would have been red flags recognized, I think there could have been a change in the direction of what happened. But that didn't happen. And I think that he is responsible for his crimes. He even states that he knew it was wrong. He talks about that a lot in the interviews. And he knew that he could get punishment for it. He knew it was wrong. He was able to stop from doing it for a while. So I think that, like, when his dad wanted there to be an insanity plea, I don't think that was appropriate, in my opinion. I think that, Jeffrey Dahmer saying he didn't want that was because he knew that wasn't right. And like I was saying before, I think that when I was saying that the family should have been talked to about it, I think that the documentaries and stuff is really important, not only to tell the story of what happened to the victims and everything, but also to make people realize what can happen if red flags are ignored. But I do think that the family should have been talked to about it and should have had like maybe 25 or 20% compensation for it, because the victims are who truly matter in all of this, in my opinion. Sorry, I have a cold, but yeah, that's my opinion. I can't take up too much because my baby's sick, but that's my opinion.
You guys are both sick.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that argument of rehabilitation and do you think it's possible for these type of people to be rehabilitated, comes into play. But Pink, what are your opinions on it? Pink?
You're muted, Tut.
No, she's not muted.
Oh. Melissa, what do you think?
Pink, can you hear us? Okay.
I do want to say something.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say something real quick, just what Amber touched on as far as because that's also something that I disagree with, and I love you, Amber. I think that just because somebody can say, yes, I know the difference between wrong and right, I know what I was doing was wrong, I should go to jail for the rest of my life, or I should be, get the death penalty, and they're of sound state and mind. I have different feelings about that. I feel like you can still be absolutely insane, and still be
but she's going by the legal term.
By
of
the
insanity.
legal term of insanity. I don't know what that legal term is. So,
well, what is worse, someone who doesn't know what's right or wrong and can't determine, or somebody who's aware that it's wrong and still does it anyway?
I don't think that there is one or the other. Both could be serial killers. Both could commit just as heinous crimes and still have that mental illness.
Right. Like I said, I think he had a mental illness. I definitely agree with that. But he knew what he was doing was wrong when he did it. And that's what defines it legally.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So legally, I agree with that. I think as far as rehabilitation goes, MJ, I don't think that if somebody kills somebody, right, and they're insane, I think that perhaps a mental institution is where they belong, but not with any kind of option to ever, you know, like I think you're there for life, but you're there in a setting where you're getting some kind of, because for a few reasons, I think it would be beneficial, because then doctors could actually study the patients in a clinical setting, right? And try to learn more about what kind of creates this, how does this happen in a person? But then also getting the mentally unstable person the help that they need, so that they're not a danger to other people that they're imprisoned with.
I think rehabilitation is possible. It's just a very small percentage. And just to kind of piggyback off of what Shaq was saying in the chat, it's a lot of people do find religion while they are in prison, but is it because they genuinely believe it, or now are they in the situation where it's the only thing they have left to turn to? Because the part that I'm interested in is, let's say one of them who's in there for life turns to religion. And if for some reason all charges get dropped and they get released tomorrow, are they going to still continue on that religious path? Or are they going to just go right back to what they do? Because now they're out of that environment.
I don't think they should be released because they're rehabilitated.
No, I'm just saying.
If you're a murderer, but yeah.
I'm saying.
I mean, how many people that are you find incarcerated say they found God?
A
majority.
Or they convert to Islam or something.
I think a lot really do.
They said it's just going to prison, you lose everything. You lose yourself, you lose your freedom, you lose your family, you lose touch with your family, you lose your assets, your job, everything. So all you have left to do is to turn to God. That's all you have, and that's when you're at your lowest point.
And I'm sure a level of fear may instill upon you that fear that, well, I'm now basically sentenced here until death. And if I don't feel remorseful, and if I don't turn to God, there is that chance that I might burn in hell for eternity. You know what I mean?
Go to hell, yeah.
That
well, you got a good point. When you're, if you turn to God, you find God, and in 6 weeks your case is overturned, and they open the gate and let you out. Are you going to continue? I don't know, because that's why most people don't believe the whole I found God issue.
I think only a very small percentage of people would. I think, like I said, it's possible. Rehabilitation is possible. I think there are absolutely people in jail who are remorseful and have learned and have
and need help.
I just think it's a small percentage that's genuine.
Yeah.
And then I'm back. So
I agree with
my closing thought.
Go ahead, Bank.
No, I didn't hear you.
No, Boston was just acknowledging someone in the chat. You're good.
Oh, okay. So I think that, oh my God. I think if it were to have been at a different time when a biracial, couple was okay, if a gay couple was okay, perhaps it could have been different. I don't think that Dahmer deserved, and the whole putting him to death, like that's a whole other realm and can of worms for a whole other day, because that has to do with like the afterlife. But I do not feel like he deserved to be beat to death like he was. Like, I really don't. I think he should have been studied, questioned upon other cases that came to be after 93 or so. I think the person that did beat Jeffrey, honestly, guys, I think he was a loon, like
he was schizophrenic.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he was diagnosed crazy schizo,
which is an illness. So, you know,
but we don't
people who have addictions, like to drugs or alcohol, those are addictions. We say it's an illness, and we, you know, they're, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's.
1 second, Nuck and Futz, can you just say something so I can take down the peen screen?
Oh, look!
Just confirm it's you.
It's a little peen nanner.
It's cute, right?
No, it's adorable.
You guys, don't ever get dogs. They're literally like toddlers, even when they're old.
Nuck and Futz, you're muted, but if you just unmute and just say something. If you don't say something, I'm going to have to take you down just because I don't want to leave the peen screen up and I don't want to risk getting peen.
Or just show your face for a second that you're not a wiener.
Or be like me and either throw up the Jack Daniels or the peace sign and be like, what up?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right.
There we are. Just wanted to make sure it was you. Okay. All right, go ahead, Pink, with what you were saying.
Well, I figured they could talk because they haven't.
Sure. Nuck and Futz, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't know what we're talking about right now.
Well, with Dahmer all together.
Okay, to bed with you. Anyway, I think that it breaks my heart. I really don't think that he wanted to do what he did, unlike Bundy or other people. Like, I think they were all about that life. Like, I don't think Dahmer was. I think it was a compulsion, and I do not believe that he determined. What?
No, I think he was.
Let's get rowdy. Go.
All right.
Fuck. I'm just kidding.
Let's have civil
It's all
debate.
right.
Civil debate, everybody.
I think he was MK Ultra'd, and I think that he was
Melissa.
Well, Pink, let them speak.
Melissa.
You
Okay.
need to let them speak. Sorry, go ahead, Nuck and Futz.
Okay. I think he was MK Ultra'd. Absolutely. Into
where? Or like
where?
at what point at what
Probably
point
in the army.
Real quick, what does MK Ultra mean? Go. Hurry. Don't look it up. Tell me.
Pink. It is under mind control of the government, and it is a legit
No, not
thing.
you, Melissa.
Because you're being rude to the panel guests, and I don't like that because they aren't familiar with you, so they don't have that energy with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking snap in a second. Okay, so I'm gonna fucking snap. All right. So yeah.
Oh,
all right.
baby, Slim Jim.
No, can we be respectful, please?
Come on, you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Really?
So you think the army? He was in the army.
He was in the fucking army, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, I'm asking. No.
Fuck off.
Nothing but this
I'm
is me,
done.
Boston. I'm asking. Do you think that's when it happened? Was when he was in the army?
Probably. Yes.
So maybe like they found out about his first, because he did have his first kill before he joined the army, but then obviously
And he
got real
also
bad
did
after
a
that.
year in jail before he went to army for molesting a child.
No.
Yeah,
No,
he did. Yes, he did.
That was after the army.
It was after the army. We went through this in the beginning of the live. So I don't necessarily throw out the MK Ultra thing.
Sorry. Okay.
He was in the army in 1981. Pink.
And it was 1989, I believe.
I know what happens in the fucking army.
Yeah.
I know what happens in the fucking army. Okay.
And I don't think, like, when people say MK Ultra under the mind, like, I don't like how people automatically dismiss it and it's like, oh, not possible. Yeah, it is possible, and it's happened numerous times. So I'm totally open to hearing your opinion as far as this is, this is concerned.
Yeah, me too. I only asked when you thought
this is the first fucking time I've come up on your fucking channel, right? Mm-hmm. And these fucking people are fucking coming at me. I'm all right.
Me?
I don't know. I don't know who is.
I am coming at you?
No, I don't know who is.
They're not familiar with anybody else on this panel, so granted, it's kind of chaotic right now. So I apologize, and I just want to hear.
Mel's, I've been following you for fucking forever.
I know. That's why I want to hear your opinion. No attitude. In trivia. Yes.
Huh?
You're always here on trivia.
I know. Where the fuck did trivia go? Can we just go back to that? Fuck.
Go back to trivia. There's no job.
I am very interested. I am very interested too. I'd like to hear your opinion of where I only interrupted because I wanted to ask when you thought in his life that had happened.
I'm sorry, what?
At what point in Dahmer's life do you think he may have undergone MK Ultra mind control?
Oh, when he got into the military. Guaranteed.
So do you think that he may already have had some type of mental illness since his first kill was before he went to the army, and then after some type of MK Ultra, it just made it progressively worse?
Yes. I think though that his father or somebody in his life was already in that shit too. He was
Lionel.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that he was already
What was his job back then? Was he a chemist?
Yeah, he was a professor. He was a chemistry professor.
Bless you.
I think he was.
Oh my God, that's me. Hold on. Sorry.
He was a chemistry professor. Yeah.
Yeah. He taught in universities and high schools. He was a science teacher, basically, chemistry.
Science, Yeah, I think he was probably maybe I don't know.
I think, not to interrupt you, but I think he also had a degree in philosophy or something. But his main source of income, or his main career, I would say, would be as a chemistry professor. But I think he did have like a degree in philosophy or something. I think he had 2 master's degrees, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a very smart guy. Lionel. Jeff is a different story.
I would like to know if maybe Lionel had any ties. Did he have any ties into the army himself?
No. Nope. I don't think so.
But he is the one that basically made Jeffrey go into the army.
Yeah, because
didn't he give him like an ultimatum?
Jeff had been screwing up.
I mean, he was kicked out of college within 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, he was kicked out of things, getting fired from jobs. So
on the screen, it makes me really sad that this was the victim that got away. So this was the last victim of Dahmer, where he got caught, and then he himself was arrested for killing. Yeah,
for murder. Yeah.
Murder. Yeah.
Now, do you think that? I mean, can you imagine what he must have experienced in the trauma, knowing that he got away from a sliver, like just a little tiny sliver of a chance that he got away, and to find out the amount of bodies that was in this guy's apartment and the amount of kills, and that would have been you? Do you think that permanently fucked this guy up?
Oh, definitely. I think
I hear that. I hear the same
a
thing.
Huge change on the brain.
Well, and this goes back to that nature versus nurture argument.
I heard he had survivor's guilt.
Yep.
And that he was never able to really. He wasn't able to get over what happened. You know, that he survived, he got away, but it just kind of, I think it just got into his head and
Melissa, do you have that
turning
link?
to alcohol and drugs, and then, like, you know, maybe a life of crime because of that. Maybe it probably was detrimental. I'm guessing it would have been.
Survivor's guilt is a
it
very,
goes back
very
to
real
that nature
thing.
versus nurture argument.
How does he go
how
back
is it
into nature's
Survivor-
versus nurture?
Oh my God. Okay.
Go ahead, Pink.
Because I think I think for some reason it's easier for people to grasp a murder, right? Like someone just snapped, or like it was just a situation that, or not even just a snap, but like gang violence, and like it's easier for people to understand a murder. It's so hard for people to grasp the serial murder kind of person. And so we look at this person who was the victim that got away from Jeffrey Dahmer, and then he commits a murder, and then it goes back to like, did all of those circumstances that he went through and his trauma with Jeffrey Dahmer, did that make him into a murderer, you know? Or is it something that has been ingrained in him since a child? Like when we were talking about the differences and what could have made Jeffrey Dahmer become the serial killer that he became.
Right. And what do you guys think about as far as cannibalizing the victims? Like, I think it obviously just rooted back to Dahmer having this fear of being left alone, and he wanted his victims always with him, and so consuming their bodies made him feel like it was, and that's what he said too, but it makes sense to me what he said, you know, like as far as not ever wanting them to leave, so consuming the flesh means that they're always a part of him.
Yeah, by consuming them means that his victims never leave him. They're always they're with him. He's internalized them in a way.
Right. I think it's a severe abandonment issue, like to the extreme.
Yeah. And maybe that abandonment roots back to his mom, you know, like it roots back to that feeling of having no security. It feels like Jeffrey had no sense of security, and he was always waiting and had the expectations.
He could have done like so many things, and he chose to be infamous in a not cool way, and it's sad. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the pictures and it's sad. How is it not? No, really, somebody argue. How is it not?
No, it's sad. It's very sad. Like, to me, it's really, I mean, it's sad for him. I feel like there could have been an intervention, like, to help him at an early age. And then it's really sad for the victims and their families, because the police failed them so many times to where so many more people could have lived.
And I think she played like dementia at the end after he was like caught, and you know, they excavated or
she had dementia.
Excavated. Hello?
You don't play that.
What?
Hi. She was diagnosed with dementia.
What?
That's how she died.
What?
She was diagnosed with dementia. That's how she died.
No. And then, okay.
I think that even finding out that your grandson was living under your roof and doing the things that he would, that would cause. Oh, okay, go ahead, Pink.
No, Melissa, bye.
I am doing my best to allow every single person on this panel to be able to speak, and it's not as easy as you think.
And she said something I didn't say.
To be fair, Pink, you have interrupted every person on this panel, so if you get interrupted once in a while,
including me.
Okay, I'm doing my best.
Bye.
Yeah, Pink.
Boss.
Melissa, stop. You're right. I know. Go ahead. You're handling me very well. Holly, is that
This is the
you?
first time I've been up on your panel, Melissa, and
well,
holy
I like
shit.
you, and I'm so
There's
happy
a
that
lot of
someone
people
like
on
you
panel.
came up to like give other opinions because nobody else has.
I've been muting myself. I'm just trying to let everybody talk. I'm you know.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I don't want to talk. I want you to talk.
No, you don't. I feel bad. Like, oh.
There's a question on
And then
the screen.
the pictures of the victims like flash through my mind, and I'm like, how could I say that?
I think it roots down because I could feel that part too. And I think it roots back to being a human, empathizing for another human. Because even if they are a monster, even if they have done the worst of the worst, you have compassion as a human. I don't think it's so crazy. But yeah,
then why don't I others?
I think I don't know. I don't know.
I know this is not therapy, but like I don't feel bad for the others, but Dahmer, that's why I've been so excited. Like, I don't know.
I get it. And like, I think it's like common to be like, oh, dude, I used to do that all the time. Hold on. With Natasha, you know, like there were times when I would watch her and like I act like when I would hear her cry, I would feel like really bad for her. But this would be after she just read whoever, insert name here, for filth. You know what I mean? And called them everything but a white person, basically. And so it's like, have you ever heard that saying?
No.
Called them everything but a white woman? Sorry.
No, I've
anyway,
never heard that
Critical
before.
K say something similar to that.
I've never heard that
I've
before.
never heard that.
No, I haven't.
Working
but
like
one
the white
time
folks.
Heather was like, "Hey, no,
What?
listen, guys."
I remember she said
Heather,
that.
I'm so
I
sorry,
remember
but
that.
one time, listen, you're like,
okay.
Fuck, I don't remember it verbatim, but you're like, brothers are the best. Put your sister to the test, like in incest thing. And I heard that.
What?
I had heard it before, so I feel you with your little sayings that no one else knows. But trust me, there are some of us. We're like, oh
sorry,
my god,
what?
we've heard it. We've been there. Okay, sorry.
Right.
Go.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, just like you felt empathy for Dahmer, I felt like,
I don't
and
feel
then
empathy for any of these motherfuckers.
I'm like, why do I feel bad for this?
Why?
Like, she's
they don't
awful.
ask to be that way. They don't want to be that way. It is a brain chemistry that is beyond our comprehension.
That may be true,
Still
but
don't
would
feel
you feel
empathy.
that way if it was your child that was killed?
It would break my fucking heart, Amber. It would hurt. It would.
I agree. I mean, I agree with Pink.
Quiet, but no, go.
In this
people
situation,
think with Tia Dash's question, was Dahmer involved in Adam Walsh? Awaiting for your answers, and she's been awaiting a long time. Now, I never knew that there was any correlation. So unless somebody else is educated on that,
Melissa, they were in Miami, or I'm so sorry, I don't remember. They were in a specific town together at the same time. They were, but I myself, nope.
I don't know who that is.
Y'all,
Adam Walsh. You don't know who Adam Walsh is? John Walsh's son.
Oh, so sad. Fuck. 6 years old.
Wait, John Walsh's son?
Yes, who was abducted from a Sears department store, and that's why John Walsh went on a whole.
I
don't think so.
Created
Dahmer's MO.
I know somebody that is affiliated with John Walsh.
Oh, really?
That's so sad.
He's not a good guy.
John Walsh, really?
But his son still, he was only
John
6.
Walsh?
Like, we can't hold.
Yep, I've heard that too.
Really?
He's not a good guy. No, not at all.
You know what? That doesn't surprise
That
me.
John
though,
Walsh
because
was not a good guy?
That's
No.
what they're saying.
No.
Weird.
He's no.
Wait, we're talking about the same. Okay, are we talking about the guy that does
The guy that
Yeah.
had his child.
that show?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
Listen.
show called?
His son Adam
America's Most
was
Wanted.
killed.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
decapitated.
Yes, thank
like
you.
head cut off. They found the head under a bridge in Florida.
Yeah. That guy. Yes. No,
his
he's
father
not a good guy.
went on.
Yes, John Walsh. Yes. No,
Yes,
he's not
go.
a good guy.
No,
He's not a good guy.
but wait, I agree.
No,
I agree.
he's not a good guy.
I've heard it. No, I agree. But he went on to create America's Most Wanted.
Most
like
Wanted,
a
yeah.
huge
Mhm.
TV show. But
Yep.
yeah.
No, he's not a good guy.
To be fair, we have history of taking the worst of the worst and putting them front and center and praising them like they're the best, you know, like, so it's not some crazy thing.
No, he's
Dahmer-
he's very terrible, dude.
Dahmer was down there.
Yeah,
Dahmer was
he's a
released
piece
from
of
the army
shit, but I
in
don't-
1981.
I'm so sorry.
In
Go,
March,
go.
and he went to South Florida after being released from the army in March.
Yeah.
He was released in March of '81. He goes to South Florida. Adam Walsh disappeared from a Sears in Hollywood, Florida, and they were down there at the. Dahmer was down there at that time, that summer.
It's not him.
But I don't think he had any association with
No,
Adam's
no, he didn't.
disappearance.
I don't think
Yeah.
it fits his MO. Yeah,
It wasn't
But
his
the
MO.
father, the America's Most Wanted creator, he is a piece of
How
he's
old
a
was
pile
Adam
of crap.
Walsh? How old was Adam Walsh when he was murdered?
He was like seven,
six or seven.
Yeah,
or something.
that doesn't sound
Yeah.
like
and
Dahmer. Yes, Dahmer,
said
you know, went for like 14, 13 year
Yeah, it
olds,
wasn't.
but
It wasn't
He
Dahmer.
was
I don't
like,
think he
listen,
it was
he
Adam
specifically
Walsh.
said
It was his
quote, unquote,
father.
I have admitted
Oh,
to
You
everything.
guys.
It was his father.
Oh my god, I wasn't trying to be mean.
Sorry.
It wasn't funny.
It was
Hi,
his
Tia.
father.
Hey, what's up?
This is Tia, guys. She's the one who originally asked the question, so I want to see what her thoughts are on it.
Okay. All right.
Well, some. And I'm the
So,
listen.
Somebody's got their.
Do you have YouTube
Uh-oh.
playing in the background, Tia?
Yep, I sure do, because you know it's amateur hour in these parts.
She's like, I got this. I'll fix
Sorry,
it.
it was amateur hour. Pulled that shit right down. So do I think that Dahmer? Okay, so I did a deep dive on, and I don't mean to switch gears here, but we did a deep dive on Adam Walsh. And
Okay.
what was surprising is to hear all of the things that Dahmer did while he was in Florida during that same time Adam Walsh disappeared. And the people
Like
who
what?
Hold on, let her finish.
Talk.
Who's asking what?
No, you're okay, Tia. Go ahead.
Continue.
Like what? He was a hot mess. He wasn't he dishonorably discharged? He was a drunk.
No, he wasn't.
Dahmer was honorably discharged.
He was honorably.
Okay. Huh?
He was honorably discharged for some reason. I don't know how he was able to pull that off, but he was.
Okay.
But he was a drunk, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. For correcting me on that. I appreciate that. He he did what he had to do as a homeless guy. He worked at a pizza shop, but that didn't
wasn't
last
homeless,
very
though.
long. And
he wasn't
what?
homeless. He wasn't homeless.
Are you
Yes,
talking
he
about
was
John
homeless.
Walsh or are you talking about Dahmer?
I'm talking about Dahmer.
He wasn't homeless.
Dahmer was homeless. He slept.
No, he
on
was
the
not.
beach.
No, he wasn't.
Oh
No.
my god.
No, he was
Hold
not.
on, you guys,
One
you
at a
guys.
time.
It's
No,
a
he
simple
wasn't.
Google search. Hold on,
One at
relax.
a time.
Okay, hold on. He was homeless. He lived above the pizza shop, but when it didn't work out,
Well, if he lived above a pizza shop, that would make him have a home, wouldn't it?
who's speaking?
Me.
Not getting
That is-
foxes.
Okay, so he only lived there for a short period of time because he would show up at work drunk.
Well,
then he
that
had
would
to sleep.
make
Then
Hold
he had
on,
to
hold
sleep
on, you
on the
guys,
beach.
stop interrupting each other,
Christ
please.
cracker. You know what?
Please,
It's not
please.
worth it, Melissa. I
No,
can talk.
Tia, I
about
want to hear what you have to say.
No,
Everybody
it
needs
is.
to let
No, I'm
each
listening.
other
I'm
speak.
listening. I'm sorry. I'll
I'm
stop.
over
I'm
it.
listening.
Like,
No,
I'm over it. I'm not going to sit here and argue with people over facts
that's
and
what
shit
we're
that.
here for.
I want to hear what you have to say, Tia. Everybody, please, needs to be respectful of the other person. This has become very chaotic. I want to hear what she has to say. Even if we don't agree, let her finish, and then we will figure it out. So
Well,
please,
the facts
Tia,
are out
continue.
there. I mean, he was arrested several times for sleeping on the beach. So
Okay.
he was homeless. Like, I don't know how to make that any different than it is.
Or he was wasted sleeping on the beach. I mean, either or. I just
make
don't.
him
I think
homeless,
Melissa.
but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay,
just.
well, he
Melissa,
didn't have any money,
especially just.
and he didn't have any job.
Is this
So-
before or after he was in the army?
After he was discharged.
Okay.
He was
See,
in
Rena said I just
Miami.
looked it up, and he was homeless at one point. See, so like we can't all freak out. Sometimes we don't know everything. You know, we gotta fact check. Okay, so go on. What other coincidences when you were looking in did you find?
That he was at the mall the same day that Adam Walsh was had disappeared.
Really?
And
wow.
People saw him, yes. Many people saw him, one of them being a cop. And during that time, he was driving the white pizza van. Now, do I think that Dahmer had anything to do with Adam Walsh? I do not, because that did not fit his MO. The 14 years old was the youngest that Dahmer killed. So a 6-year-old boy would not typically be the MO for him. So I don't think that he had anything to do with it. But there is all I was saying before everyone had to jump was that there's connections to things and different crimes that he is connected to in a weird way. Be
Odd
the location where
That's a very odd connection.
It is a very odd connection, but it's also been, I mean, he was investigated. He was brought in.
Dahmer was?
Yes.
Yeah.
How did I
He was
not
brought.
know that?
Hold on. He was brought in by the South Florida police at the time for Adam Walsh, or was he brought in? Okay.
He was brought in and asked. They did well. Now this. Let's see. The South Florida police went.
Well, Hollywood, Florida, I think it was.
Right.
Okay.
The police from I'll just say the police from Florida because I don't know which.
Right.
It could have been FBI for all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Did go and interview him in Milwaukee when he was first arrested, and connected him. Were able to connect him to Adam Walsh. He was finally. He said he didn't do it, and they let him. They believed that he didn't do it, but he was connected and he was questioned, and he was homeless. And we did what?
Do you know when he was? When you said when he was arrested, he was questioned. Was that during his 1991 arrest? Like when they found all the bodies and the heads?
I'd have to go back and look, but I believe so.
So
no,
it said
no. That the Adam Walsh was before, or was it not?
No. I know.
Okay, so it says that Michelle here. Hold on.
He got caught for everybody else that he spoke on it, or.
Well, that Michelle in chat
God,
here.
I don't know. Good question.
Says in 1992, the FBI interviewed Dahmer regarding Adam Walsh.
Yes, it said Dahmer had gone to Miami Beach after he was discharged from the army in 1981, the same year Adam was kidnapped and murdered. When the army,
you know what? Go ahead.
When the army,
it's okay.
Hold on, please, you guys.
Already arrested at that point, Melissa.
When the he wasn't arrested. No, he wasn't arrested.
And no.
Okay, let me say something. When he was arrested in 91, and according to that Michelle in 92, so he was probably still being questioned by the feds. When they got Dahmer's timeline of his life, where were you here? Where were you on this? Like the feds had his whole timeline. They knew when he was in the army, when he was discharged, where did you go after that? What did you do after this? So they knew, they probably figured out that he was in Hollywood, Florida at the same time that Adam Walsh disappeared.
Yes.
That's probably what they discovered in the 1992 interview.
He had,
it says when
that's probably what.
No, she's not saying he had anything to do with it. That we're talking about the coincidences.
Yeah, I know. I get that. But
that's probably why they thought maybe that there was some speculation. Once they found out he was where he was at that given time. Well, wait a minute. Adam Walsh was kidnapped at that time.
Melissa, you're doing so good.
I just don't understand what is with that. This is embarrassing for me, sweetie, to have a panel with so many people on, yet you guys are being so fucking rude to one another, and I don't understand it.
I'm muting.
It's really unbelievable to me that we're all grown fucking adults here. I've been on for over 3 hours, yet we have people coming up simply to share our opinions, and they can't because we have little comments being made back and forth, and it's ridiculous. We're here to discuss true crime. We all don't have to agree with each other, but everyone's opinions and inputs are just as valid as the others. So shut the fuck up while somebody else is speaking and then wait for your turn. That's simple. I appreciate your input, Tia. I apologize. This is the first time you're on my panel too, and I'm sorry because this is not usually how it's conducted, but it's absolutely ridiculous up here, and it's really disappointing.
Oh. I'm just gonna hop down and wish you guys the best. And I just thought it was interesting, and I think I'm the only one.
No, it is interesting, and I wanted to hear more.
Yeah, please stay and talk about it, Tia.
Actually, Tia, hi, I'm Heather. I haven't met you, but so I was just, I've been looking at this while you were talking about it, and according to this article, the Miami-Dade police records show that Dahmer reported finding a dead body on July 7th in 1981.
What?
And it says this was just a few weeks before the infamous kidnapping of Adam Walsh. And then it says, but then the person who they figured out who killed that other little boy or whatever body he found. So they said that this person was guilty of that. I just thought that was interesting too, because I didn't know that I didn't even know he had been in Florida, and that, all that stuff.
I didn't know he headed to Florida either until we started researching Adam Walsh. And when we started really deep diving into him, I think that's when a lot of the Dahmer stuff came up. And of course, I'm the first one to be like, no, that's stupid. But there was some stuff that was intriguing. Do I think he had anything to do with it? No, I sure don't. But I thought that his name coming up and that him being investigated was definitely interesting.
It is. It says when the Army discharged Dahmer, they told him he could have a plane ticket anywhere in the United States. Dahmer told police he couldn't go home to face his father, so he headed to Miami Beach because he was tired of the cold. And then they found witnesses who said they saw Dahmer at the Hollywood Mall with Adam Walsh that day. And some people say Dahmer had access to a blue van matching the description of the getaway vehicle. When detectives questioned Dahmer about the Walsh murder, he simply said nothing to do with it. So he was questioned, though, after he was already arrested for the murders.
Right.
And they were looking, because at that time they didn't have any other really suspect, and they didn't know what happened to Adam Walsh. So they were investigating and looking into him. Even though he has nothing to do with it, it's an odd coincidence.
That's what I mean. When they discovered Dahmer's whereabouts throughout his entire life, it probably rang a bell with them when they found out he was down in Florida at the exact same time that Walsh disappeared. So that's probably what caused this whole rumor to circulate.
Well, that's
Hey,
kind of what sucks with
can I
eyewitness testimony. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Because you
No,
know, like
eyewitness testimony is not reliable. Go ahead, Jack.
because I mean, like when they ask him, where were you, and you know, like tell us your story. Where were you after you left the army? Oh, I went to Florida. And how long were you down there? I was down there from the time I got discharged in March of '81 till, you know, August of '81. So he was down there for, you know, 4 or 5 months. And then they start digging around in old records to find out if there's any murders during the time he was down there. So maybe they were trying to pin murders on him while he was down there, investigate them. You know, because since you were down in Florida for 5 months, well, let's go back in our records and see if we had any cannibal-like killings in South Florida at that time that maybe Jeff would have been responsible for.
He wasn't cannibalistic at that point. That point, he was just experimenting, trying to keep these people alive as his zombies and things like that. He wasn't necessarily cannibalistic quite yet. That was, I think, later on when he realized he couldn't keep these people as his zombies.
Well, I thought at that point. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I thought maybe I'm wrong, but I thought maybe at that point that he'd been already experimenting with drinking plasma or blood. Or was that wrong?
You know what? I'm not.
Was that later?
100% on that. So you might be right. I don't. You know, I can't say yay or nay.
I'm usually
on that
wrong.
One. I just
okay. I'm usually wrong.
I mean, the research we did was more Adam Walsh and Sidebar, OPS. Like this came into the picture, and I was just curious if you guys had heard. I mean, honestly, I was sincerely asking if you had heard that because I always thought that was a weird thing.
No, you are totally fine, Tia. Like this was very chaotic before you entered. And so I apologize the first time you're coming on my panel that happened, but I found it very interesting because I had no idea. That is the first time I even heard about that. And as soon as I typed it in, multiple articles came up about the correlation between Dahmer and Adam Walsh. And I had not a clue, not a single clue.
Oh, well, thanks for having me up, and I hope that you guys have a better night.
You will never want to come back, but I hope you do. I'm sorry.
I'll be back.
Welcome, right? Welcome. I swear it's normally not like this.
It's, you know, not everybody shares the same opinion. I respect that. I totally get it. And if you find out that I'm wrong, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna apologize. Oh, like, you know, thanks for that information. I appreciate it because I like to be right and I like to learn things, but you know, don't be a dick to me because I'll come for your throat. So there's that. Just saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We should all be able, like, listen, I'm as a conspiracy theorist, I'm very used to having, you know, the less, popular opinion, but you can all be respectful. Like that shouldn't be an issue. You should be able to listen to each other without jumping down each other's throat. Even if you flat out disagree, just wait and then speak.
Well, I always learn something from somebody else anyway, so I'll hop down and chat and just listen. But thank you for having me.
Tia. Sorry to scare you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Oh, girl, I don't scare that easily.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming up because we did learn something that we did not know before you came up. So I appreciate that.
I want to ask her, is she here?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Did you follow the Bundy case at all?
Did I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. What did you say?
Oh my God. Hold on. The Bundy, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Ted Bundy, did you follow that case at all, perhaps?
I didn't deep dive into it, if that's what you mean.
But a little. Well,
I know the
was
case,
gonna
but I didn't
ask.
deep dive into it.
Well, I wanted to ask, do you feel like he was responsible for Kimberly Leach? But that can be a whole other debate. But I was very intrigued by your stance on Dahmer with Adam. And
Did you go out, Pink?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I can. I lost you for a minute there, so I don't think I got the full question.
Do you
I'm
feel
sorry.
like Ted Bundy? No, you're fine. Do you feel like Ted Bundy, and this can be a whole other topic, but just real quick, because I appreciate her view on the Adam thing with Jeffrey Dahmer. Do you feel like Ted Bundy, if you followed at all, was responsible for Kimberly Leach?
You know, I have an opinion on it, but I don't have any facts on it. And I would, in order to give you an honest answer, yes,
go.
Yes.
Oh wow, I would love to talk one day, but okay,
sure.
No,
Sure.
that would be so fun. Like for real, we should, because I feel like he didn't.
Really? Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear your aspect as well.
And,
like that's
you know,
interesting.
it kind of like goes into the Dahmer with Adam thing too. Oh my God.
See,
okay,
that's what
awesome.
I love to have a conversation with someone who doesn't agree with me, but who can have a conversation with me.
Isn't that usually the best?
Wants to like figure shit out. Yeah.
That's what I really enjoy. So, I mean, I dig that. So please, like, I would love
Where
that.
are you? Do you have a channel?
She does.
Yeah.
I've been dropping her
Oh,
channel
damn.
link. All you have to do is click it.
Yeah, if you go to Decipher Podcast,
The link is dropping. Nightbot got you.
Hold on, I'll find her.
Nightbot got you. She's right there.
Tia?
Nightbot just dropped
there
it.
she is. I got her. Okay. Oh my God, we're gonna have fun. Okay, go.
I like to talk creepy things with other people who like creepy things. I really do. And I love to learn like little details and things like that. But I will tell you, I am kind of a dick about like, where'd you get your source from?
No, I appreciate that, because absolutely I want credible sources.
Yeah. Oh, this is
I
gonna be
found
fun.
you. I subbed. We're gonna
sweet, thanks.
We're gonna get it on. We're gonna talk about but for real, no, he did not. But okay, go.
I'm gonna let you have it because I'm gonna go to bed.
But... Okay, go is killing me. If I had $1 every time Pete said "okay, go" on this live, I'd be a rich bitch.
I'm gonna hop down, but I do look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you guys have a great night. And Melissa, thank you for letting me come up. It was fun. I do appreciate it. We're ending on a positive note. So
Of course,
have a great night.
Nuck and Futz, are you saying that wasn't you up on my panel? I'm so confused. Tia, thank you so much for coming on. I really look forward to talking to you again in the future, maybe on a smaller panel though. Maybe on a smaller panel when there's not so many people up. But I appreciate it. So thank you so much. And anybody who hasn't already subscribed to Tia, Nightbot's dropping her link. Go over and subscribe. But Nuck and Futz, are you saying that wasn't you on my panel? I'm getting really confused.
I think she's saying that wasn't her talking. I think Pink was talking, and I don't know. I feel like there's a lot going on, and I'm like, I don't know.
I just came back. Like, I haven't been.
I don't know.
Well, overall score of the Dahmer series 1 through 10.
10
being the best.
10.
I'd give it an 8. Heather?
9.
Amber? Oh, I skipped right. Hold on. Amber?
I say 8.
Amber, your voice got so deep. You gave it an 8 too?
You sound like you're from the north.
Boston?
I think 8 is a very good number for it, yes.
Why?
Why
not 10?
Because I think there was a few things that could have been done better.
Like what?
I think that there could have been some deeper dive, like the Tony episode I really liked. It would have been nice if they had done kind of a similar episode for the family from Laos. I think that some of the acting wasn't like superb, in my opinion. Not by Evan Peters. He was amazing. I just felt like it could have been a little better.
Okay.
Also, I like the number 8. So
8 seems fair to me, just because.
Hey, with your last little shenanigan, you should like the number 7.
Shenanigan. Oh yeah, I know. You mean the Conjuring house? Yes.
Yeah. Go.
Amber, what score would you give it?
I would say 8 too, just because I feel like I didn't follow a lot of the story beforehand, like I'll admit that, but I feel like more could have been focused on the families. I know a lot was focused on them, but I just feel like more could have been. So yeah.
I think the first few episodes were intense, and I like intense, but like a little chaotic maybe.
Hey, can I ask Amber something?
Sure. Go ahead.
No, I think I'm okay. Amber.
Yeah.
Oh.
At all, it could have been like a possibility that like perhaps
she fell out. Sorry, I just want to clarify Nuck and Futz, because if I drop the link and you come back up, I'm going to be ending in a couple minutes anyway. But was that you up on my panel? Because I'm getting really confused. So, like, if you could just say, yeah, that was me, or no, that wasn't me, just so I have, like, an idea.
Okay, Pink, what was that?
She's gone, girl. She's gone.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my God. That baby sounds so cute, though. Well, wait, stop saying you're so confused, Nuck and Futz, because I'm confused. But can you just confirm, was that you up on the panel or not? I would say I give it, like I said, I give it an 8 because it was really chaotic. It was.
I give it an 8.
Good.
I give it an 8 too.
Yeah.
And I'm with Boston. I think it could have been more detailed with some of the victims, and it should have been 20. There should have been 20 episodes instead of 10, or maybe like a season 2 kind of thing. I think they could have stretched it out.
Well, agreed.
It would have given them more story. There's plenty of story to tell with that, and more than what they did tell.
Yeah. And the heart that they gave to the Tony story, they really made the victim a person, and I thought that would have been nice for some more victims instead of.
Well, that was the only story they really gave a backstory in, because I remember I was even watching it with my mom, and she said, why are they going so far back in? I was like, probably because they want us to be invested, because they went all the way down, to his birth. And I feel like absolutely each individual victim should have had a little bit more so we can understand them as a person. But I think, imagine the older brother of what was his name again? The 14-year-old?
Conrack.
Yeah. Can you imagine the survivor's guilt with him?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you escaped, you pressed charges, they got fucked. That judge fucked them. Okay. He was drugged and raped, and they follow through with charges, and Dahmer is given, 10 months, but he had 40 hours a week work release, and it was sealed. So he didn't even have to disclose what his fucking charges were. And then to have that happen to your younger brother, I'm sure as an older brother, you feel that instinct to protect your younger brother. And for that to happen, I can't imagine how much he would have struggled for the rest of his life. Hi, Holly. Sorry, it's been chaotic. Yeah, Michelle, his older brother. It's sad, but yeah,
The
I would
older
give
brother is
Is that Holly?
Samsak or
here?
something. Samsak.
Sim. Oh, his first name. I think their last name is pronounced exactly how you'd read it. If we have the spelling here.
I can't
phone.
say it.
Once you see the letters,
phone.
yeah, because when Melissa was playing that clip earlier, somebody said the last name, and I was like, oh, it's exactly how it's spelled. It just doesn't. It's a lot.
But the older brother is I just looked it up. It's Samsak. Synthosamphone.
Synthosamphone. Mm-hmm.
That's so unique. I've never heard of any name like that.
Right. But I want to, okay, so with those police officers, they were 2 weeks suspended with pay. And then when they returned, they got fucking awards. They got awards.
Yeah, they got like Police of the Year or something.
Like how? If that is an injustice, I don't know what is. And so I think the series did a really good job portraying the injustice with the court system and the police officers. But you know what? At the same time, unless like Shaq said, you could do 20 episodes, to do 10 episodes, there were 17 victims. So they really were forced to kind of rush at the same time, because that's not even enough one episode a victim. You know, that's literally like a half episode per fucking victim.
Their officers' names were John Baltrazak and Joseph Gabrish.
Let me look up.
And they were fired, but they were able to get their jobs back, but they had to a judge had to give it back to them. Like they had to go to court, and a judge awarded them their positions back and allowed them to finish their time in the force and retire with pensions and all that.
Oh, look at these two. Hold on. How horrible. How horrible. Good night, Nuck and Futz. Thank you so much for coming up.
Good night, Nuck and Futz.
Look at them. Like they were like that would never fly today. So do you think if all of the victims were white, like let's be real, do you think they would have got treated the same way? Thank you, Pink Dagger. It's okay. I'm about to end anyway. It's okay. Do you think if the victims were white, these cops would have gotten the same treatment? Anybody? Bueller? Wow, now there's not enough people talking.
Do you think, sorry, it was
okay.
Messing around with something. Do we think that the cops would have gotten the same treatment if the victims were white?
Let's imagine 17 white victims.
And the cops missed it?
Do you think, let's say this all played out the same way.
I don't. I really think it was a gay issue, not a race issue.
I think it was both, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was both as well.
I think both factors come into play, because both communities were at the time, I mean, they still are, but at that time especially, both of those communities were very much, is community the right word? Both of those minorities, both on the racial side and the LGBTQ side.
Which didn't even exist at that time.
It did. It definitely did. But
not like it does.
Not the way it is now.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't open. And then especially with the AIDS pandemic.
Yes.
Epidemic.
Miles. Well, yeah, the first victim was white. He was white, right? Yeah.
Stephen Hicks, yes.
Yeah. I think there was another one that was white too.
There was an American Indian, a Latino, a white guy, a couple white guys.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. And all of the people who knew Jeff said that, yeah, he was quiet, but he never really showed any signs that this is what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also goes back to, I think you hear that with so many serial killer cases where people are like, I would never have imagined. And it goes back to like the human mind and what the human mind can process. Or, like a father, could he ever imagine or think of the thought that his son did all these things? Even if the red flags seemingly are right in front of you, the healthy or the more healthy human brain that's not where your brain goes automatically. It goes to some other kind of explanation, like, oh, he's just a quiet guy, oh, he's just a strange kind of weirdo. It doesn't go to those other cues.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to say earlier regarding the grandma with the dementia. Imagine finding out at that age where your health is already compromised, okay? The amount of stress it would cause her to find out that under her roof, while she slept in her home, these murders were occurring. Bodies were being dismembered. Sludge was being fucking flushed out, like body sludge. Flesh was being flushed down the fucking drains. That alone can push someone over the edge. So as if she, with the dementia and things of, that nature, yes, they happen naturally, but also something traumatic can cause it to all of a sudden onset more early or more aggressively. So I think that might have played a huge role into her mental state.
Yeah. I agree with that. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I agree. I think this was definitely, there was moments of stress in this live. It's hard when there's lots of people on panel and lots of people with different opinions. But I just want to say, I think that you did incredible, MJ.
Until I told everyone to shut the fuck up.
No, I think that needed to happen. That was part of the incredible. I just muted myself and started playing with my camera.
Two of his victims were 14.
Yeah, two of his victims.
Two of them.
Yeah, that's right. That was Conorak, and then the other one was Jamie Doc Stater, I think.
What I think? Sorry.
Indian, the American Indian kid. He was 14. I think that's his name.
I think one of the most impactful moments of the entire series was at the very end when the episode was closing out and they put up one by one each of the victims' faces, putting their faces and names to because we hear 17. That's so much you can't even imagine. Like take the time. One by one, we are going to fill this entire screen with all of his victims and names to the faces. And that was one of the most impactful moments of the entire series for me.
I agree. I wish, and Amber kind of said the same thing, and I think Hector did too. I just wish there was more of that. I wish it was more than just a minute of faces on a screen. I don't even think it was a full minute, but I agree. That was the most impactful moment.
So long, so it was like 1, 2, another, and you realize, holy fuck, there's going to be like 5 per row. Like this entire screen is about to be filled. And like to see the kids, like not saying that's any worse for an adult versus a kid, but it is, to see like a kid be a victim. And it's like, oh my God, like you were fucked. We failed you. The entire system failed them. But all right, I think I gotta get off because I feel like I need a fucking Xanax. That's what I feel like. But I do appreciate you coming on and hearing your opinions. I appreciate Nuck and Futz coming on. I very much appreciate Tia coming up, and I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. It was chaotic, but thank you for coming on and discussing it.
Do I get a shout out?
You could get a shout out too. Thank you, Ecto, Heather, Amber, Boston. Thank you guys, and thank you for everyone in the chat, and thank you for mods for holding it down in the chat. I appreciate you all. I gotta get off though because my blood pressure is up, and I'm like, I did it. You see that, Amanda? Whatever. Well, I'll do a shecto. How about that?
almost 4 hours.
And thanks to Melissa for doing this, because
I
know other people, like, she was kind of on the fence, and I begged and begged and begged and begged and begged. So,
And this isn't what you were expecting, but we did it. So this is what you get.
I know I have a microphone now, though.
You'll never ask me to do something again.
I think true crime.
I liked it.
I
thought
too.
it was.
I mean,
I thought it was fun. I like a healthy debate, and it got a little annoying at times with so many people on panel, but that just happens.
Well, what I just don't care is having someone new on my panel, like Tia, where it was Nuckenfutt's first time too, and I do not like this because they don't know anybody on panel, so it's like, how it feels to go into a new environment, and it's like, hey, welcome, fuck you, like that's what it's too much. So, but I appreciate everyone coming on. Seriously, I think I'm going to keep it to smaller panels moving forward. But all right. Have a great night, everyone. And if you haven't already watched it, go and watch it. It's good. 8 out of 10.
Do it.
Do it.
Yes.
Bye.
Good night.